Hello, ladies and ladies. It is a great day for Pibble Foundation Relations of the Nation, because as of last night, I got 58 in BFBB, no SBA, a category that does not exist anymore. So we're gonna analyze the run, and you might be thinking, why should I care about this, bro? Like, when I say I mean it's you saying I. Like, you're like, why would I care about this? But there's a lot of, like, things to go over. I have a lot of, like, notes to make sure I don't forget certain things. There's a reason why this time is, like, special in the first place, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be a long one. So I think for the first time, I'm probably actually going to have timestamps, or at least like a timestamp for the backstory, and then a timestamp for like analyzing the actual run, and then probably another timestamp for after that, because I have stuff to say after that. So I gotta get backstory. All right, so 2018. I was done with movies, so I went back to battle because I didn't know what else to do. And, a lot happened in that time. A lot of new strats and stuff like that. Plus, like, I switched to NTSC OG, which is, like, the fastest version. And, it was all well and swell. In October 2018, I got 5913, I believe it was. I went from 1 flat 11 to 5913, and the run was really good when I got it. But I saw that I was 58 capable, but it would have taken a lot, so I added strats. I don't remember every strat I added, but I know I added hammer skip, I added graveyard sock, I added an RCB, a museum, and I don't remember what else, but I'm sure I added more. And from October, and then in November, I got 5908. And at the time, I was like, this run is horrible. And then I kept going. I grinded. And to the end of 2018, I didn't get a 58. I didn't even beat the 5908, in fact. I didn't beat it. So obviously then, it's like, well... So that's where the story ends, right? Like, you eventually got... you didn't get it by the end of 2018, but, you got it eventually, right? No, I did not. So, I took, like, December 30th and the 31st off, and I think, like, the 1st of January as well. Because, New Year's. So, I was practicing on the 2nd of January, and then I was in museum, I remember I was practicing, and then bam. Like, massive wrist pain and arm pain in both of my hands at, like, the exact same time. And every button press hurts a lot, like a sting every time, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is this, right? And that was just not PogChamp, bro. Yeah, it was not great. And I was a little worried, but I was like, alright. Because I did have a little bit of experience with, like, hand issues before in October of 2018, so I bought, like, a mouse pad thing. It was an ass one. Thank you for asking. And then that fixed the problem, and then I got hand pain on January 2nd, 2019. And then I took, like, 5, 6, 7 days off. I think it was, like, 5 days off. And then I did a practice session, and I streamed, and I did literally one attempt, right? Well, I did more than that, but, like, the very first attempt, that run only lost 58 best possible time halfway through Dutchman. And that is one of the reasons why the hand pain thing pisses me off so much. I would have gotten there that week. I was already kind of overdue anyway. Like, my run was not good. I lost, off the gold, I lost like 35 in Gulagoon 2, and it was all from kids. No, not all of it, like 2/3 of it was from kids. It's hard to... Oh, yeah, and I think my Robopet was really bad as well. And my Rock Bottom Streets was really bad. I don't remember the rest of the run, but I think those things were particularly quite bad. but yeah, it was so annoying because I'm positive I would have gotten it that week. That many days off, one attempt, every single button input puts me in pain, and I still nearly did it. Like, I would have gotten it that week. But no, I didn't get it that week. In fact, I stopped streaming, and I barely streamed for the rest of 2019, and none of the streams were battle. None of them were. So I still, by the end of 2019, when I finally fixed my hand pain, even in December 2019, I just didn't have the time still. And at that point, battle had changed so drastically that it almost felt pointless to even go back. Especially when movie had loads of time saves between when I stopped playing it in July 2018 to the end of 2019. There were a lot of discoveries, such as NTS COG. Like, we realized how fast it was. And there was, like, Bounceless and Guitar Glide Clip and stuff like that. Like, it was fucking... There was a lot of reasons to go back to that game instead. And, like, no reasons to go back to battle. Like, 58 didn't mean anything anymore with, like, all these time saves. And, like, people were doing lag clips and stuff. And I didn't like those fucking lag clips, I'll tell you that. They were cancerous as fuck. And... no SBA was not even the main category anymore. It was any percent, because at first, no SBA was still the preferred category because SBA was AIDS, but then we realized how to make it not AIDS. And it just made, it made the run faster, less things to do in the run because you got an extra 7 crab spatulas. So just less things to do in the run, more, easier for beginners to get into. You could mix and match your route a little more. Like, it was just, people were really enjoying it, but I didn't like SBA and lag clips and stuff. So I had no reason to play it. There was no point. So instead, I just went back to movie. And 2020 passed, 2021 passed, 2022 passed, 2023. Finally, as of September 2nd, 2023... I have a 5820 in Battle for Bikini Bottom, no SBA. My god, it took a long time. So I finally decided to come back in 2023. Like, it was like 2 months ago. And at first, I just did a few runs, and, after a couple days, because I was just kind of seeing, like, how would I do? How easy would it be to derust? And... after, like, the 4th day or something, I already had, like, a low 1 flat, and I was like, oh, wow. And the run had some mistakes, like, maybe it was a bit of a fluke, I don't know, but if I keep this up, I mean, yeah, it'll be a longer road ahead than I expected, but I should be able to get 58, right? So that was, because here's the thing, right, and this is an important thing as well. So, movie is dying in the sense that I'm crushing a lot of categories right now. My no-pause storage time is the greatest speedrun I will ever do in my entire career. It was the first and most likely only no-pause storage run that will ever play within a minute of Sum of Best. I only made, like, one notable mistake at the time. And even now, the Sum of Best is only, like, 3 to 4 seconds faster than when I got the time. Like, and my all extras time is pretty good. My no major glitches time is pretty good. My all tokens time is amazing. I still haven't played any percent. I'm saving Hundo for last. I want 223 in Hundo. My PB is currently 224.30, I think. The run's still quite good, but definitely can beat it by quite a bit now. Could definitely get 223. And now I'm going through the extensions categories. So my idea is to get really, really good runs on everything on main, and then on extensions just get pretty good runs. Not as good, they don't need to be as good, they don't matter as much, but I still want pretty good, solid runs. And that's already what I've done in early powers all extras, and I'm currently trying to do that in early task unlocks. And that'll then apply to all the other, all platforming levels. I already have a really good time in cheap sense, so I don't need to worry about that. I'll probably improve Frogfish, and so on. And then I'll save Hundo for last, and that'll be like the last hurrah. And then, after I'm done with that, my plan, if movie still doesn't have any time saves, I plan to go back to battle, because it's so different, I want to see what I can do. So my deadline then is essentially for getting 58 in OSBA is essentially before I kill movie, because it's so different current battle. I can't just downgrade everything like after stream so that I can then do 58. Like, it's just not gonna work mentally. It's just not gonna click with me, you know what I mean? I need to do it now. This is my last chance to do it. And it was really stressful, man. Like, because I went on vacation last week, and like the thing is with that is that I wanted to get 58 before vacation just to get it out of the way, as well as a time in early task unlocks. I've never had to play an extensions category so much. I genuinely can't believe I still don't have a good early task unlocks time. But yeah, as for battle as well, I was slowly, obviously I was running against the latest run, and I was slowly whittling it down. I was stuck on like one flat something for forever, and then I got like 59.48, I think, and I was stuck on that forever. And then I got like 59.36 or something, and I swear to God I was stuck on that forever. And then I think I got a 59.24, and then I think quickly after that, then again, like, stress piling up, you know, because I was spending almost every day playing that game on top of already streaming movies. So I'd practice, you know, before every stream I didn't have that much free time anyway, because I'd wake up, you know, brush my teeth, get changed, well, I say get changed, put my clothes on, you know, boot up my PC, get everything sorted, practice movie, then practice battle, then quickly eat, take a shit or whatever, and then stream, and then after stream I go, you know, eat food again, brush my teeth again, you know, shower, and then I'd have like 3 hours to do battle runs. I did that nearly every day. There were days where I didn't stream at all, where I really went ham on battle. There were days where I didn't play, which were kind of rare, but it did happen. There were days where I only played for an hour. There were days where I didn't practice, but I still did long attempts. Or there were days where I practiced and barely did attempts, and so on. But for the most part, I was playing like most days of the week for at least a few hours, because that's all I could fit in. And it was, again, stressful. And I wanted to like practice some more stuff in movie. There's like some combat arena thing that's, you know, finally might be able to make now that I'm in combat not AIDS. So I wanted to learn that in preparation for Hundo, but it's like hard to like practice stuff outside of stream when I gotta practice and play battle. And every time I tried to just chill, I was like, dude, what am I doing? I'm on limited time, you know what I mean? So my deadline was to get a 58 before vacation and to get an a good ETU time before vacation. Neither of those things happened, but one thing did happen, which was that I did beat the 59.08. I got a 59.05 on the second to last day before vacation, and that was one weight off my chest. Now, I will say, and we will get into this later, and even during the analysis, I have added strats that I wasn't doing back then, and some of them didn't even exist back then and don't make the run any harder, and in one case actually makes it easier. However, those strats save an estimated like 5 to 6 seconds, let's say 5.5, and you might be like, oh, well then you got a 5:10. No, I didn't, right? Because when I entered Chumbuk, my best possible time was 59.00 because of those. Obviously, one of the contributions that will be the strats that I did, the time saves. I did 5.5 seconds, and so I went for a risky thing in Chumbuk to maybe try and squeeze out a 58. I went for a risky thing that I wouldn't have done otherwise because there would have been no reason to do it otherwise. So if I didn't do the 5.5 seconds of strats, I wouldn't have lost, like, 5 seconds. It's like 4.5, maybe. But basically, the point being is that it would have PB'd regardless. And you could say about, like, oh, what about the other time saves? Again, we'll get to those later. But all of the time saves, all of those ones, outside of the 5.5 seconds, they add difficulty. So they're valid pretty much automatically in that sense. The original plan when I came back to this game, the original plan was to get 58 with identical strats, absolutely everything being identical. But first of all, you know, I'm not even using the same Xbox. I'm not even using the same soft mod. Even that doesn't mean anything, but still, I was using a practice mod that's like more efficient than like not having it, and which I didn't use before. Different video cables, even different capture card, different PC. I'm using OBS Studio rather than regular OBS like I did in 2018, and a 64-bit version as well. You know, pretty much different controller. Everything was different. Different disc, if I didn't say that. Literally, the only thing that was the same was that it was the same monitor. I'm not even using the same desk. I'm using the same mic, but obviously I wouldn't use that for runs. But yeah, like, you know, if I was already using a different Xbox and a different disc, I had slightly faster loads anyway. And what I do outside of runs technically doesn't matter, so therefore it doesn't matter how efficiently I practice, you know, and that's I still would have gotten these times regardless. It would have just taken a little longer, you know, that sort of thing. You know, but yeah, basically the point I'm making is that, like, I don't know what point I'm making, because I forgot. Also, the other reason why I wanted to get the 58 before vacation is because okay, so September is spider season, and there will be a lot of spiders in this September. And I do battle in the evenings. The spiders most commonly show up in the evenings. They would kill some of my runs. It just would happen. If it went through the entirety of September, I would lose multiple runs, whether early or late in, whether amazing pace or trash pace. I would have lost quite a few to spiders. In fact, even in August, I lost one to a spider. Actually, a pretty good run that was getting into a sea needle. So, yeah. So I just didn't want to deal with that shit. And also, by the end of September, I'd be even closer to killing movie, and it was just like, dude, like, I really should, you know, pick up the pace. And I will say, on the last day before vacation, and I really, like, it was like my last attempt before I went to sleep, woke up, and then we went in the car to go on vacation. I got a run that was over minus 30 seconds off my PB. Off the 59.05, and that run, I lost it in kids because I was in the air and I forgot I spun, and I spun a second time, and SpongeBob plummeted into the fucking goo. Which then, and that was so heartbreaking. And that leads me to one of the last things I gotta say before we do this analysis. I already got 58. I got it, like an hour before, maybe a little more before this attempt of the 5820. Why am I not showing that? Well, first of all, again, I did like 5 to 6 seconds of strats that didn't exist back then that don't add skill, so that's kind of iffy. Well, they did exist. It's I'll go over it in a minute. It's technicality shit, but. And also the run, it was one of those runs where the early and mid game were amazing and the late game was the worst thing you've ever seen. Like, for a run still PBing, and it still being, like, not a horrible run overall, that was one of the worst late games I've ever seen in a PB in my entire life. No joke. Like, relative to my standards and stuff. Because I've just been getting better and better. That's another thing I've been you know, like, when I was going for 58s, the run, like, getting it would have been harder. Like, when I was first trying to go for it in 2018, compared to even when I came back. But even then, it took me weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It took so long, and I was so overdue for it, that I ascended my skill level and became faster and more consistent than I ever was before. So then getting a 58, 59... well, in this case, a 55 wasn't even, like, a big thing in the first place. It was still genuinely not a good run, whereas before it would have been a good run, barely, when it was all said and done. But 58, 55, I couldn't call that good. Like, I just ascended my skill level too much. My backups, I got better at backups. and keeping my cool and not making as many stupid mistakes, and my cruise boosting angles and just getting cruise boost first or second try more often in general. Oh, another thing that was happening during some of my runs was that my capture card kept disconnecting, and to this day, I still don't know if I fixed it yet. I think I might have. I put my PC on high power mode, and that might have fixed it, but I don't know. Because there was a time before where it didn't happen. I thought I fixed it, and then like 2 months later, it started happening again, and it happened like 5 times a stream or some shit sometimes. Like, it was really bad. And I just don't know if I fixed it. I gotta wait another like month or two to see if it's fixed, basically. And if it hasn't fixed it, I gotta buy a capture card for like 200 quid or something, you know? Like 150 to 200 quid if I want like a good one that'll like definitely work. Except I don't know if my motherboard will be powerful enough to handle something like that. And yes, it's just a fucking thing. Anyway, so about that run I said that died to kids in the most depressing way possible. That 58-55, I lost like 40 seconds to kids. But okay, the run before that was amazing, so I was able to cushion it. You know what I did in Squid Stream? I pressed X twice. I learned nothing. And that was like the final thing. If I just got 58-55, just regardless, then maybe I would have accepted it, maybe. But the fact that I did this effectively the exact same mistake again, I couldn't accept it. And when I got to 58-55, I didn't feel very thrilled or anything. And after like 20 minutes, I was so annoyed. I was like, dude, I have to go through this again, don't I? I'm going to have to go through this for weeks, seeing runs die in ways I've never seen before. All these runs, and then I'm finally on a good run, and then it dies to something that has like never fucked up or hasn't fucked up in months. Years even sometimes. And just like, oh, the capture card's going to disconnect or fucking... It's just always something, you know what I mean? It's always something. Getting hit in Robopack, getting the worst manips you've ever seen in your entire life. Fucking dying trying to do the Kelp Forest slide strat even though it's really easy. Dying in Squid Stream even though it's easy. Missing the Robo Sponge coin flip strat even though it's easy. Fucking spiders, capture cards. Just having those off days where you just cannot get past fucking hammer skip for 900 years. I didn't want to do it, dude. But I was like, fuck, man. Even though I have a much bigger cushion of a deadline compared to before, it's just, oh my god. I know I'll get it eventually. I'm bound to before it's too late, but as long as I keep going. But I wanted to give up so bad. But then I actually got this run before it was too late. Not only that, I actually got it very quickly. Like, I did runs for a little bit, and the furthest one died to Sponge Glide. And then, I think shortly after that, then I got this run. So it was like 30 to 40 minutes after, like, I got the other run, and then started attempts again. I didn't think I was gonna get this soon. And yeah, I'm a little sentimental now. I want to... After I got this run, I kind of wanted to, like, find excuses to keep playing this game. Like, oh, well, I could go back to early powers or level spatulas or whatever, like in 2018. There's no point, dude. I don't know. Like, I'll get to it later, but this is my favorite era of BFBB, like the golden age, in my opinion. And I have no reason to ever play it again, like, literally ever, so I'm just sentimental to it. So yeah, that's like all the backstory of like why this means a lot to me. I should have gone in 2018. I know I would have, but then I got fucked, and then I realized I need to get it before it's too late. Also, another thing as well is that like my controller, I don't know how it's been lasting for this long, but the rubber is like slowly wearing off the stick. My A button is like getting more mushy. I cannot believe this thing is still around because I have to use it more than ever now because I'm also playing Battle. And my poor Xbox has to be on for way longer than normal. It like doesn't get much of a break sometimes. So yeah, I knew I was gonna make this video, by the way. I knew I was gonna make it when I finally got 58, but yeah. So the 58, 55, we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. You know, if we want to add the 6 seconds, then it wasn't even a 58. The good thing about this run is that even if you think I shouldn't have done any of the strats that add difficulty, it doesn't matter. They all add up to about 25 seconds of time save if done perfectly, like 25 to 28 seconds. If you add that to my 58-20, well, it's still a 58. I got 58 even if you took away the amount of time that I saved from those strats, without even factoring that I increased the difficulty of the run as well. So I got it. I double got it. So there's no question about it. It doesn't matter that I added strats. So yeah, it's fucking great. I will go over, like, the big 2018 differences compared to, like, modern-ish battle, but it'll be, like, pretty brief. I'll be going over more stuff, like, during the actual analysis. So yeah, I'm running against 58 4x pace in this because I felt like I couldn't run against the 5x pace because I already technically beat it, but I also didn't want to go up against my PB because I had an amazing early mid-game. And the only other faster pace I had was 57 pace, which was just in case I got a guard run or whatever. So, there were three, like I said earlier, there were 3 things I did that actually, 2 of them don't add any skill whatsoever, and 1 of them objectively removes skill. But I want to go over them briefly now, because they are technicality things, because they did technically exist. So the first one is Krusty Krab Late. So in old runs, we would do Krusty Krab just before Dream. But then in 2018, we had the idea of doing Krusty Krab just before entering Industrial Park. This would save a load. However, we couldn't do it because of shiny issues. But then it turns out that we could have done it because there's a way in which you can have it not be a shiny problem, but rather a spatula problem. And ever since Sandy Nut and Early Tower Glide, more importantly, Early Tower Glide, we have enough spatulas to make it work. However, when Early Tower Glide was implemented, you know, the idea of Krusty Krab Late was already forgotten about. Especially because at that point, you know, the world record route was doing Needleless, and that actually didn't have the shiny problem, so therefore it was able to do Krusty Krab before Industrial Park, regardless. Because you didn't have to pay for the clan for Sea Needle because you skipped it entirely. I will briefly go over the Needleless route later on, but this run I did not do the... Basically, I feel like it isn't a true no SBA run unless it's doing Sea Needle. It's such a... just represents the run too much, I feel like. Just a big part of the run. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's Krusty Krab Late. It saves like 3 seconds and just doesn't add any skill or anything, other than having to do something later that has a bit of difficulty, but that's not really, you know... You're not gonna reset in Krusty Krab, so it really doesn't matter. In fact, it actually made the shiny route actually a little easier, because sometimes it was possible to enter Sand Mountain with just barely not enough, whereas doing Krusty Krab Lake guaranteed that you'd always have enough by a lot in Sand Mountain. So actually, it technically did make the thing a teeny bit easier in instances where you had bad shinies. The second thing is in Rock Bottom, there's a route for Rock Bottom streets that skips 1 cruise boost. It has been known since 2016, but was timed to lose time. So it was only done by beginners who wanted to skip a cruise boost, essentially. Especially because back then, a lot of the difficulty of late game was just getting cruise boosts. Back when the standards were a lot lower compared to these days. And, yeah, so it turns out that was BS. It actually does save time, about half a second. So it saves half a second, it removes a cruise boost, and it doesn't make the movement any harder. It just objectively is easier. And even if it broke, even if it lost a quarter of a second, like, if somebody bothered to time it in 2018, I would have done it. But again, it's a technicality thing, because from the knowledge back then, we didn't know it was faster. So again, that's a bit of a gray area. And the final thing is a strat in JF2 that is hard to describe, but you just skip something, you just replace something with something else, like, movement-wise, and it was considered kind of hard, because of, like, it was hard to, like, because you had to, like, walk into the spatula and have it, like, not have SpongeBob spin around in circles. You had to, like, have him push him to the gate. And basically, it was thought to save less than it actually does. So when it was done, it was only done without a ledge grab. With a ledge grab skip. Basically, I found in 2023 I found a way to make it really easy with a ledge grab. Really easy. I've only ever fucked it up like once. And even with the ledge grab, it saves like a second and a half. So if it were timed properly back then, I would have done it. But it wasn't, so I didn't do it. So again, those are like the 3 technicality things. The other technicality things, I guess technically, would be me adding strats that I didn't do back then. However, all of them except for one that I haven't mentioned yet, like, out of all the ones I haven't mentioned yet, all of them except for one actually existed in 2018 and were known about to be faster, but I just didn't do them back then. So, if time froze, like, if I, like, were in a coma and then it came back, but I somehow retained all my skills still, and I didn't know about the new stuff from 2019 onwards, and my knowledge only went to 2018, and then I had as much time as I wanted to grind it out, I would have eventually added stuff, I bet. And again, it doesn't matter anyway, because I ended up with a 5820 either way. But yeah, like, this run will show you, like, what, like, a 58 looks like, I guess, from this sort of time period, with one big exception. But even without that thing, I still would have gotten 58, and it is another technicality thing. And it's more justifiable than the other 3 I already mentioned. I feel like, and it makes it run harder. So, I think with that said and done, now we can talk about the big 2018 differences. How long have I been recording for? Let's find out. My OBS is, like, off the screen. 32 minutes. I want to die. Alright, Alright, 2018 differences. I have 3 big things. Obviously, I'll go over a bunch of stuff in the actual run. Number 1, playing on disc. Now, this is a big thing, because battle runs these days play on hard drive. This makes mistakes less costly. A lot of mistakes cause reloads. So when you think of it like that, it's just like, damn. So it makes mistakes more costly, and also, it takes longer to just, like, you spend less time playing the game. So you play the game less, because if you only have, like, 5 hours to play, then quicker loads throughout the entire thing, you can squeeze an extra couple runs in there. In the long term, playing on hard drive does make you a better player. And also, text boxes are really laggy on disc, and, like, you have to, like, have, like, a feeling for, like, when to actually skip the text boxes, whereas on hard drive, like, that's not really a thing. Same with, like, actually, no, yeah, it's basically just text boxes. A big thing as well is that in a battle run from 2018, you don't really do anything until hammer skip, so you basically just do 2 minutes of nothing. Whereas on hard drive, that's like a minute 40 something. Like, it really does add up, or it might be a low 150 something, I don't know, but it adds up a shit ton. Again, think about those days where you can't get past hammer skip for, like, fucking, like, half an hour. Like, you will get past it faster with hard drive, because you don't do anything before hammer skip. Like, hammer skip is so annoying, because it is pretty much the equivalent of sandwich out of bounds, in the sense that you don't really do anything for about 2 minutes, and then you do a really hard AIDS mega cancerous thing that you will reset to kind of often. Although in sandwich driving is less brain dead than the beginning movement of battle up to the hammer robot. And I will say as well that sandwich out of bounds, like, is more feel-based, but hammer skip has more, like, immediate difficulty when doing it, because you get, like, ideally get the one frame. But people still, you can fuck it up and get a quick drown, or second or third try one frame, and you can still be fine, whereas in sandwich driving, I would compare the difficulty of those two tricks pretty closely. But yeah, a battle run from 2018 is basically the equivalent, almost, of if the run, as if a movie run started in sandwich driving. It is painful. But yeah, it's just, again, everything, although one thing I will say is that you have more time in a load to think about what you're gonna do next and like things like that. You have more time to just chill. So playing on hard drive does add more. It gives you less downtime, so it's like harder to compose yourself. However, it does make you a better player in the long run. And again, like mistakes are less costly and stuff like that, and it's easier to skip text boxes. And also, your disk, you don't have to worry about, like, your disk deteriorating, your disk reader deteriorating. My hard drive's pretty fast, so if I ever do come back to battle, it'd be nice to, like, be able to use it. Alright, number 2, route is much more cemented. So, this is comparing to battle any percent and not no SBA. But now, like, these days, they get 7 extra crab spatulas, but they don't actually get 9 extra crab spatulas because they do 2 crabs dupes. And they do CCA, which makes rock bottom early lose less time than it did in 2018, so it's more justifiable to go for it early, which allows you to move spatulas into late game. And you can do CCA campus, that's another spatula. Plus there's things like easy goo cage. Early goo cage clip. Their route is so lenient now. They skip JF2 in its entirety, as well as do Mimile late. And skip, like, Dutchman and kids and stuff. It's actually insane when you think about it. However, in 2018, like, everybody other than Needleless was doing roughly the same route. You get a couple different socks, but when you got to, like, the 101 even, maybe even, like, yeah, so, like, 101 to, like, 58-ish time, other than, like, some socks and maybe, like, hammer skip, like, you were all doing, like, roughly the same sort of route, like, pretty close for the most part. Whereas these days, it's pretty different. Like, I see people with pretty different routes and stuff. So here you have, like, far less options. But that also means that everybody can more closely compare it to each other and stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And number 3, the run is longer and more so favors consistency rather than just nailing everything. Modern Battle is a lot shorter, even like a good run by community standards these days. Back in the day, it was like, I think a good run by the time I stopped playing. I think what was considered, like, by community standards, yeah, pretty good. Probably like 102 or lower. Whereas these days, it's like, it's probably like 52 or lower, I'd imagine. So, you don't need to play good for as long. Which means that you might be able to get away with more fluke instances, potentially. And there's also a way more strats. So, 2018 Battle is more about favoring movement and consistency. Not entirely, because it's hammer skip, but still, like, for the most part, it is mostly about consistency and movement. And composing yourself. And those are, like, the 3 big things. And now we can go to differences compared to current movie. These are just, like, some of the bigger things. The first one is faster/slower to reset. So, depending on if you need to reset because of Sandwich Crash. So, if you don't need to reset from Sandwich Crash, movie resets are actually faster than battle resets. Part of the reason why resetting to hammer skip is so painful, obviously a lot of it is to do with how it takes 2 minutes to get there, but another part of it is every single time just having to hear the, "Ah, yeah, ready, kids? Ah, yeah, Captain," like, just that whole thing every time. Whereas in movie, it's quite a bit faster. It's like 3 seconds faster to reset or something, and it does add up. However, movie soft resets are a thing from sandwich driving onwards, and they are much slower than battle resets. More than twice as slow. So, it's hard to say if in an entire session which one actually spends more time resetting. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. The next one is faster loads. even on disc, actually, movies loads, but even to this day, we still use disc for movie, but movies loads are slower than battles. However, that being said, that gets us to the next point. I counted my loads in this run, and it was 80. In movie, ideally, you have like 48 to 49 at like a top level. So you actually, even though, in spite of them being faster, you actually spend, with this route, you spend more time. There's more downtime in battle than there is in modern movie. If we're counting downtime as being physically unable to progress the game, there's more of it there's more downtime in battle, especially because there's no spatula animation skips. And there's like those 2 really long cutscenes in Dutchman as well. And just a lot of times you just have to like open a gate or whatever. And because you have to collect so many spatulas. So yeah, that was, yeah. And the next point is that it's initially a lot easier because, again, 2 minutes of doing fuck all. Whereas in movie, like, truck skip is AIDS, and slide skip and canyon skip and the token frame are easy. But it's harder than doing fuck all. By the time you get to hammer skip in movie, you're you're already done with Creek, I think. Or, yeah, you're like already done with Creek about, yeah, it's like roughly. Like, you just initially do a lot more in movie, like, at first. Which, again, makes the battle resets, like, so much more frustrating, because it's just like, oh my god, dude. Like, you just kind of wish the runs would start at fucking hammer skip, you know what I mean? Alright, next one. More defined early/mid/late game. In movie, like, in No Pause Storage especially, there's never been, like, a clear answer to what is early, mid, and late game. Especially because if you want to do a late game RTA, it basically has to be late game, because of like routing issues, it basically has to start. If you want to do a late game practice run, it basically has to start a SCDA if you want to compare to other people. But most people would agree that SCDA is not late game, and I would agree too, but we have to count it as such, because even in SCDA, you can do a pretty drastically different route from somebody, and then you can't compare to them. And you can't start it from Dennis for the same reason. And you can't start it from BBBH2 because some people do it later. And there's been a reroute in No Pause Storage discovered recently that... So now I'm doing BBBH2 after guest jumps, and that also changed... You know, it's just things like that. So it has to start SCDA. And nobody knows what fucking mid-game starts and shit like that. However, in battle, it's very clear, and it's not even, like, negotiable. Up to Robo Sandy, up to Robopat, and then the end of it. That is early, mid, and late game, just defined. It isn't a huge thing or anything, but it makes you more so think, like, instead of a movie just being, like, this section to this section was good or bad, now it's like, my early game was good, my mid game was bad. It becomes easier to analyze the run as a whole in battle, essentially. Alright, next one. Cruise boosting. I don't really think I need to go over that one much, but one thing it does do, though, obviously, there's no Sandy, but also, in movie, compared to battle, there is a lot less SpongeBob and a lot more Patrick. So that's the difference, like, you don't move SpongeBob around as much as you do in battle, but you move Patrick around way more. So not a big thing, but yeah, just, like, something. And finally... Oh, wait, no, that was the final one, actually. Okay. So now, we can analyze the run. 43 minutes in. And I'm already beginning to lose my breath a little bit. Wow, that's fucking awesome, bro. Alright. Finally. We can start the run. I guess for now we can do ×2 speed or whatever. So nothing crazy at first, you know. Again, you just... Yeah. My loads are, like, average, by the way. Yeah, they're, like, about average, maybe a tiny bit above. Now, this is one technicality thing. Back in the day, everybody used to jump, like, on this thing, and then jump here. However, it's, like, really obvious that it doesn't save time, and also, like, it's a matter of frames to do one or the other anyway, so I knew it wasn't gonna be the the be-all end-all, so I just wanted to stop doing this and make my pineapples more consistent, so I just did this. It's fucking stupid that we ever thought that, because it cuts the corner a bit more, but it only is faster if you, like, touch the fucking, like, trigger, like, as close as possible or something, you know? Anyway, we don't have, like, that fast disable thing that they have now, so now this is pretty easy. Just, and again, like, delayed, like, I'm gonna put her on 1 speed. Look at how delayed, like, text boxes are. In this game, a lot of text boxes are immediately after cutscenes, which is why they lag so hard. That's another difference between, compared to movie. Movie has, like, no, like, laggy text boxes. Watch this now. Did you see that? Like, look. I couldn't skip the cutscene until fucking now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, bruh. Anyway... now, shinies matter in the run, as I already mentioned earlier. They do now in Modern Battle, because the second crabs do, but for a lot of battles life, like, after SBA, like, shinies didn't really matter, but now they are mattering again, but yeah. In No Pause Storage, we're at a decent point right now, where, like, you know, Manly's on, like, a real problem or anything. In this, like, the shiny route is pretty tight. Anyway, the run finally actually starts here, and then I do Hammer Skip. Now, Hammer Skip is fucking AIDS, and there are quite a few setups for it, and I don't know if mine is optimal, but I did not want to do a better one. Sky did a good-looking one that actually saved time too, but I just, again, it'd be kind of cheaty. So, stand around here. Can you see my cursor, actually? Yeah, you can. And then you manip the hammer robot, and then you get him to, like, come up here, but I fucked it up a little bit. So, to get more height, I jumped out of him. I sometimes just do that anyway. It's faster to just walk off of him, but I needed the extra height, so I jumped off of him. And then you want to get the 1 frame, which I didn't get, but then I got it this attempt. Now, if you get, like, a really fast drown, then you can get, like, a 317 or something. I got a 315 here, so I'm already, like, doing above average. And then you just make it over here. And then you just make it down the slide. Just getting a couple socks. Alright, and then we're gonna jump off and then touch a trigger at the same time. You would be fucking surprised at how often you will accidentally start the cutscene on the corner of the grass, and then you slip off after a couple seconds. It's so annoying. But luckily that didn't happen this time. Here's the next trick, Pat's Hammer. They still do it to this day. It's hard to describe, but it is just, like, setting it up, having a good line, and then, like, you first... Like, again, there's a lot of leniency. There's a bunch of different small setups. We just have the hammer slam you in a way that gives you, like, slide bashing frames. So I have, like, a 5-frame window or some shit to press Y here, and I got it. So, yeah, already off to a good start overall, definitely. I can't really complain about this. Pretty long load. If you're used to hard drive loads, let me show you what an average, about roughly an average load looks like. Let me look at this. Like, that's still not slow, but, you know. Anyway, this looks horrendously slow now that I've seen 2x speed. But yeah, you just climb up Squid's house. Dude, if you haven't ran this game, you do not understand how common it is to slide off this fucking nose. And how infuriating it is. Do you have any idea how many times I've gotten, like, a 312 JF? And then I just fucking fall off by here. God, it pisses me off, bro. Also, I forgot to mention earlier, when I came back, obviously, a lot of my golds were from 2018. I actually either beat a lot of them or wiped a lot of them because I suspected that they were fake in some way, like I split too early for them or whatever. Or maybe I in the case of Dream, my gold had Forbidden 1 frame and I never actually wanted to go for that, so I deleted that. So, most of my golds are actually, like, recent, but I will probably point out when they're not. But yeah, in modern battle runs, by the way, they do not pick up this underwear. However, we are going to. because it loses very little, and we need it for Sand Mountain, because we want to hit a lot of things in Sand Mountain to get more shinies, because shinies matter a lot. So, you know, just... And then we're gonna do, like, a taxi thing. I think they still do this. You jump on this to get... So you don't have to watch the entire animation. It can trip you up a little bit sometimes. Also, you can see the taxi in the background, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, now we're gonna book it to, Tiki's Go Boom. And this is a bit different, compared to... modern battle, because they like would have grabbed a couple wheels by now and they'd be to the left. However, we are like doing it in a way that gives us, in 2018, that gives us more shinies, because we need 2100 shinies to enter Sea Needle, because Sea Needle for a long time, like, we needed it too badly. Because even though Sea Needle was really slow, Wheels was relatively fast, and Come Back with the Cruise Bubble was very fast. Like, what could you possibly replace it with, you know? I got Lucky Sync. Back in the day, we thought it was RNG, but we know now that it's not RNG. But yeah, you just jump and move around in very specific ways. And I don't know how much time it saves or whatever, but it just means that you can do this in a different order and stuff, and I think it saves a second or two as well. There's quick slamming for buttons, and it's hard to explain. The button inputs are kind of precise, but, like, you kind of just, like... When you jump and then slam, like, you start slamming, like, as you're still jumping in a way where the slamming animation starts and just barely touches the button, so you slam it early. Saves a tiny bit every time you do it. I got it that time. It's pretty hard to do consistently. But yeah, after this, we're gonna warp back to Tiki's Go Boom, which they don't do these days, to get even more shinies. Like, we had to do all this to do... And keep in mind, you see my Sea Needle split? It's a minute 30, and my gold is a 128. So, keep in mind, and it isn't even just 128, it's 128 and all the grinding, so it's like 2 fucking minutes. But again, we need wheels and Come Back with the Cruise Bubble too badly. Other than if you're doing the needleless route. But then you gotta do, like, some slow movement shit, and then you gotta do rock bottom early, and that loses quite a bit of time. Especially back in 2018. Because it wastes 1 load, and actually wastes 2 loads if... Oh, and you have to, like, do Sleepy Skip, but then come back later and, like, kind of do it again, and, like, yeah, it's just... Because of the artwork, because CCA didn't exist at this point. Anyway, yeah, combos and stuff matter a lot. But as you can see, you know, I'm just kind of moving along, and we come back here to get the wheels. Now, there is something... This is called, like, Hot Sauce Cycle. If you're fast enough, which is pretty easy, you can get damaged, and then the G levels stay still, so you can, like, jump. Otherwise, you have to have it let him hit you. And then we have to grab this to get enough. And now, as you can see, I have 2181. 82. And then you grab that sock, because it's only, like, 3 seconds or something like that, or 2 seconds, and then we enter Sea Needle. Hip hip hooray. And now, this Sea Needle is hard. They, obviously, as soon as SBA became a thing, this was instantly out of the run. I'm trying to remember when SBA even got found. I think it was, like, October or some shit of 2018. But again, at first, like, nobody liked it anyway. I don't think it really became popular until, like, February, March 2019, I think. Anyway, everything I'm doing here is based off audio cues. And it's pretty hard, but I'm not gonna, like, have you listen to it or whatever. For this one, there is no audio cue, but as you can see, you go to the right, and then, like, you go to the left, and, like, kind of... If you fuck this up, like, at all, then you basically just gotta instantly reset, because you'll be so off-cycle, there's just no salvaging it. Just insta-reset here, you know? And then I'm going to wait, because the music goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But here's what I do. I go da-da-da-da-da-da, jump, jump, and then, yeah. So that's what I'm waiting for, and then I go to the left, and then you go a bit to the right, and then you dive, go into here to get infinite dives, and then you dive again. You have like a second, maybe a second and a half of leniency. And then preferably you kill the Chuck for more shinies, we don't need it. And then here's the big one as well. This is the big one that loses a lot of time if you fuck it up. So here's the audio cycle that I'm waiting for, right? It goes da 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 da. duh, and then that's when you go on the hook. So here's what I do: da 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 da, jump, jump, da da da. Yeah, so you get it. So that's what I'm waiting for here. And then you go to the right, you scrape that, and then you go down here, and then you can scrape the other Thunder Tiki, and that saves a little bit, but I didn't get it. Oh, no, I did, actually. I did get it. Otherwise, you gotta, like, get it on the way up, and then you slam, and then you dive into that. And then the last thing is whether or not you go for this strat, which is, a quick slam. You can only actually make this if you get a quick slam. Otherwise, you gotta jump on top of the G-Love. However, because of, like, the bad RNG I got, it just wasn't gonna work out. So I just went for it, and I actually got it, which is actually pretty optimal. And then you end C-Needle by switching to Sandy. So far, the run's pretty good. Played relatively close to my gold as well in downtown. Played good in JF, and played good in rooftops. Yeah, some movement stuff. Fucked up a little bit there, so I had to go more to the right. This wheel is annoying. Like, it's so out of the way. Otherwise, we could, like, skip this, because the sock is slow if you don't factor the wheel, but we need the wheel. And then they entered with, like, a 49. Now, rooftops has, like, a pretty normal, like, cycle thing that you want to go for. And it's a little hard, so getting a quick slam here helps a lot, but I didn't get it. So you just do this. You go under, like, an invisible wall to grab that. Then you switch to Sandy, and then you hover over here. And then you're hoping for good movement. Like, you really want to... Because otherwise you'll start losing, like, 3 seconds or something. So I can't even remember if I got it, to be honest. Okay, yeah, I did. I only barely made it, but sometimes I make it with more leniency. And then you want to jump around to trigger the... Didn't I get hit here? Yeah, I got hit. The robots pushed the Tata robot, and it kind of distracted me, and I got hit. So now the cycle might... I don't think I fucked the cycle, but I did... Well, I made the cycle a little slower, because it's like not just a cycle. If you lose a bit of time on the cycle, it'll lose additional time at the end of the cycle. But then if you lose even more time, then you could really fuck up and lose even more. And it's like, yeah. Anyway, here's like actually a pretty tricky part. It's so easy to ledge grab that pipe on accident. But that didn't happen. And this is what I meant by a variance of cycle, by the way. This wooden board thing is like pretty far away from me, but I still made it. If I didn't make it, I'd have to go through it. I'd have to suffer a ledge grab. And then you just want to get this guy, and then get the spatula, one more quick slam, but unfortunately didn't get it, and then we do Lighthouse. Even to this day, they still do Lighthouse, which is, I think it's for the crabs dupe, and because it sets you up pretty good for the VMS, so they do. But here, we need it because a minute is not very slow anyway. Well, it's like 50 seconds, so 50 seconds is like fine at this point in time, and it gives you a shit ton of shinies and a sock, so we basically need it anyway, and it has a wheel, actually, so yeah, we need it regardless. So this strat, even to this day, I see a lot of people bash here, but I don't do that. I've not really ever done that ever since I got decent at the game in 2018. So yeah, like, this is kind of hard to describe. You just, like, you need to remember, like, where the dupes are, and then you just, like, hit them on the way down. And then you grab the wheel, and then you do this, and then there's some RNG stuff here. The chuck can be in, like, any of the 4 corners, basically. And in a perfect scenario, you can hit a fodder into the chuck. You see that 102.7 gold? I got that in the 59, in the 58, 55. And also, as well, if things go especially according to plan, you can get that 50 shinies in the middle. Because, trust me, you do want to sometimes. And then you just finish it up by grabbing the wheels. And then we go to Squid's house and just jumped a bunch of times. And then grab that, and then we enter Geo. There you can like jump around here, and do a quick animation thingy, but it doesn't save much. It's really risky, so I never did it. Speaking of things that are risky, although this one is not hard, doing cutscenes skip thing. Saves a little bit. If you fuck it up in a certain way, then the run dies, because you re-enable the hand. No fat guy skip. It did exist, but I don't like fat guy skip. Now, here's the first thing that I was talking about when I said, like, strats that I do that I didn't do back then. Early tower glide. I tried it back then, didn't like it. But I finally learned it in 2023. What do I think of it? I do think it's harder. You have more leniency with the setup, and there's more setups that work, but the setup doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. With the old setup, it's all, like, robotic, you know, good jump spacing, dynamic jumping. But with this, it's like one of your jumps, you want it to, like, not be good, and, like, you want to delay your spin, and, like, when you want to jump out of the damage animation at a weird time, like, it's more lenient, but it's also, like, harder to get get consistent, I feel like. So, if you do it perfectly, on its own, it adds a spatula from, to early game, which means you get to put something in late game, but just on its own, early tower glide saves, like, 7 seconds if done perfectly. So you might be wondering what spatula did I move, and we'll get to that later. But for now, we'll see how I did. So I set it up. This is my setup. I think I just basically took Orion's setup, but I think I changed it a tiny bit. So I do it like this with SpongeBob facing the wall. And I lined up the button with to, like, perfectly block, like, the box in the background. And then I do I do dynamic jumping, you know, double jump thing. But then my spin is a bit delayed. And then I delay my jump out of the damage animation. And then I slam kind of early. And I made it. Not perfect or anything, but still. And I got a quick I usually don't get that. So what normally happens here is that either this happens, or it still glides you to the left for an extra couple seconds. So even though I took a little bit to set it up, I pretty much negated it anyway with it. So I'm already, yeah, I am saving like 6 seconds or something from this early tower glide. Looking pretty bussin' right now. Looking pretty good. And then you hit this guy, and then you do like a slide bash thing, but it's not very hard. I haven't fucked up in a while. I didn't do it that fast, but, you know, yeah. Anyway, I got it. I made it over. This second glide, by the way, is pretty easy. They don't do it anymore. Because of, like, SBA, you can now just, like, skip this part entirely and just do it with Patrick instead, like, throwing the melon, and it actually saves time. Can't do that in this route. So, yeah, and now we're gonna kill these guys. Ideally, you hit the hammer bot into the G-Love. But I didn't really get the RNG for it, and I manipulated them badly anyway, so I lost just a couple seconds. Not a big deal. And now, it's actually pretty easy to choke this part, but luckily I didn't, because otherwise it can really put the shinies in danger. Anyway, you drown in there, you respawn, you climb up here, and then you do tower climb. I do this in a way, normally you do, like, 2 ledge grabs, I think. Oh, no, you do 1 ledge grab, I mean. But if you're a high-level player, you can do a ledge grab skip. I did the ledge grab skip not as fast as what other people were doing. This is a setup that I came up with myself in 2023. So I jump here and turn the camera. The reason why is because it lines you up really good for this trick. Because that trick is kind of hard. Like, I didn't like how long it was taking me to set it up, and I still kept missing it. But lining it up the way that I do, setting it up the way that I do, really makes it quite a bit easier. While still being faster than getting the ledge grab. So yeah, and then that is surprisingly difficult. That part right there. Anyway, and now you warp to something, and now this part is, like, very basic. I mean, this is just the same as how you guys do it. You know, just, yeah, just what you would expect, so I don't really need to... Although, no more early, so now we're just gonna... You wanna... So, actually, hold on, I need a drink. So you purposely, slam that, because we needed the shinies, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to grab all the shinies by the time you grab the sock underneath the castle. So we needed to slam it. And you might have noticed I skipped the sock, that is on purpose. We'll get to that later. But yeah, now I collect the early tower glide spatula. And then Poseidon. Not really anything too crazy here. Just, like, some quick, you know, you want to walk up to her, but not too early, but you want to walk up to her so that she, like, slams quicker and stuff. Again, it's just, like, micro-optimization shit. I think my Poseidon in this was good, but not great. So, not really anything that's, like, too crazy. These manips are hard to do optimally. Because ideally, you have Sandy running into you as fast as possible to waste as little time as possible, and you want to manip her in a way where she actually goes into... she basically tries to run into you as opposed to running in the opposite direction or whatever. So yeah, and then, again, it's just micro-optimization stuff. Like, I slammed a bit late there, but then you throw it, you know. It's just that 3 times. Don't really need to show this. And then you do basically the same thing with SpongeBob with, like, manipping her. But now you gotta do this instead, and I've choked this so many times. It literally took me, like, 2 weeks or something to get a Poseidon where I didn't, like, get hit or have, like, really bad manips or fucking miss the bash on her or, you know, shit like that. But yeah, I got a 2009 Poseidon exit, and you might notice I'm plus 6.6 off the best. That shit is fake news, I don't know why it says that. My actual best Poseidon exit is a 2007, and my second best is this run tied with another 2009. So, this run is really good, basically. I mean, what went wrong at this point, right? Okay, I could have saved like 3 seconds in JF, and my downtown rooftops was a little slow, and that's basically it. Like, I say realistically, but obviously after a while, I feel like the best I could realistically get would be like 2006 or something. 2006, probably. So yeah, no, the run is really good at this point. You might be thinking, like, oh, this doesn't look too bad, and yeah, it really wasn't, but again, like, those 2 minutes up to ham skip, holy fuck. Plus, like, again, the standards were so much lower back then. Sea Needle, seriously, you don't, if you've never done Sea Needle, you do not fucking know the pain. You do not know it. And Downtown is over 8 minutes long. It is almost as long as fucking Sandwich Driving 102. It is so long. Which makes fucking up Goo Lagoon even more painful. You know what I mean? Like, it's so AIDS. It's the most painful, horrible thing ever. And also, it's hard to describe this, but we had, like, a very weird feeling about the game back then, where it's like, it didn't even matter if the run sucked. Like, you were always super nervous going into late game, and you always started to get really attached to these runs into, like, mid-game. I have played so much movie that in no polar stars, I don't really even get attached to runs hardly at all until after guest jumps, and then I start, you know, but then I'm still not that attached, and then once I get Mindy skip, then I'm attached as fuck. But until then, I'm not that attached. In this game, I literally, like, I basically get attached, after, Tower Bungee and Goo Lagoon, I really begin getting, like, noticeably attached. And then after, like, Dream, I get even more attached. And then after Industrial Park, I'm so goddamn attached. Especially if the run manages to get past, Goo Lagoon 2, because then you don't do that much for, like, quite a while. Like, you get really attached. But yeah, now, there was, like, a little technique now, where, you notice that we were walking into a lot of doors and gates and stuff, and we had to kind of, like, guess. You had to kind of, like, guess where the triggers were to, like, for these warps to, like, so you can spam, like, optimally. But still, at the end of the day, you start spamming. This is different. Ball accelerates your speed quite a bit, like, immediately, but then slows you down. So what we do, we start bowling. Here's what you do ideally, right? Bro, why isn't my thing moving? Bro, okay. But as you can see, I started bowling so that the speed would accelerate me into the trigger. And it's very hard to do optimally. I lost like 6 frames there. Very hard to do optimally. Alright, Tree Dome has RNG, and it's AIDS, so you want to, like, bowl this immediately. And then this guy was already in the way. Ideally, he doesn't get in the way. But it's not the end of the world. And then you knock this guy into the dupe. Kill this guy. And then, ideally, you'd bowl off the tree trunk onto the Tata robot on top of the picnic table. But instead I just did that. And sometimes there'll be a fodder there. You know, it's not too bad. So yeah, nothing crazy really. But I did lose like 3 seconds off the gold or something. Now, here's one thing. I used to like bowl here to like try and get more shinies. But first of all, I stopped doing it because I kept missing it a lot. And I was just losing time for no reason 99% of the time. And second, I kind of realized I didn't really need the shinies in a lot of runs anyway. So, yeah. And now we're just doing some basic spongeable storage. You have like a pretty big window per jump. Like, it's not a big deal. But I got... Dude, that ledge grab skip, I remember when I got it, it actually pissed me off because that's kind of rare. And just with the mid... Tree Dome as well. It's just a bad Bikini Bottom segment. This is the worst segment of the entire run so far. But obviously didn't lose that much off the gold. It's just like, bruh. Again, another bowling thing into a trigger. If you fuck up that bash, the TNT will, the Thunder Tikis will hit you, give you knockback, and you'll lose a bunch of time. So now, this is where KK Late comes in. Instead of doing Krusty Krab now, I'm doing it later, so I grabbed the warp, though. And yeah, 159 Bikini Bottom, like nearly 5 seconds off the gold. Very realistically, you can save like 2 seconds there, so pretty bad segment. Alright, now we got Dream. And I do things in a very specific order, for a specific reason. So, first thing I do is Forbidden, just want to get it out of the way. And then, 1 frame Forbidden was done back then, by the way, but I didn't want to do it. Then I do this. And then you warp to Squid Stream to get the warp, and then I warp back to the beginning. So, and then I do oil skip. So the reason why I do it in this specific order, if you enter Dream for the first time and then go for Super Bounce, the trampoline is like a little further away. Because you have to like watch the cutscene. So why make it harder on myself, whereas Forbidden's like the exact same difficulty. And oil would be a similar difficulty, but I prefer to get Forbidden out of the way before oil. And then the reason why I do oil after the Super Bounce, even though I think Super Bounce is comparatively a lot easier. It's hard to describe, but basically, the way that I do this is I spam B. This part is very laggy, so I spam B, and then I press start, and then I start pressing A and start to, like, warp back to the beginning. It'd be hard to, like, press B, then press start, and then quickly warp to Super Bounce after. Like, it would just be difficult to do. So, I just didn't want to deal with that. Anyway, here is oil skip, and here's my setup. You can do a lot of them. You like, again, it's like another sliding thing, but it's a little harder than some of the other ones. Oh, I forgot I got hit there. If I had full health there, I would have died, and the run would have been over, so that's another thing. But yeah, after this, we warp to Super Bounce, and then warp to Sandy Knot. This is still done in some runs. I think, I think people still do it. At the time, this is pretty nice when it existed in 2018. However, it did remove shinies. So yeah, I didn't want to spend... So the warp here is like somewhere around here. Just bash your head in a few times. Some people like play extra safe, but I like roughly know where it is, so I don't play that safe. I do miss it every now and then, but it's by far the thing I fuck up the least in Dreams, so I'm not really worried. And then because of KK Late, instead of warping the crabs now, I gotta warp to Shady Shoals. So that is one issue with KK Late, is that it makes the menuing slower, but not too bad. So, also another thing is I gotta do Sand Mountain before Mimala, but that's not a huge deal. And then ideally you bowl into this to get the quick thing. Saves a little bit of time. It does mean you don't get as many shinies, but my shiny route is, like, fine at this point. And this, you, like, start holding forward, like, just before you slam this guy, this Sandman, so that you, get thrown forward a little bit, save a bit of time. The robots were in the way, so I fucked up here. So one of the things I do for my shiny route is I actually bowl this when I didn't used to. And I wanted to bowl here, but I got bad RNG, and I just didn't want to risk it. And then I thought I was far enough away, but no, I wasn't. I got hit, so I actually lost quite a bit of time there. And the other thing I do... Well, there's two other things. First, I'm just going to get this out of the way so I don't forget. I hit this truck, I kill him so that he can't snipe me, because I've lost quite a few runs of him sniping me, which I didn't used to do. Now, you remember the other technicality thing I talked about earlier? Here's where it comes into play. So, yeah, you remember when I said about early tower glide, like finding another a spatula to do in late game, or to do in late game. This is it. I decided to move Sand Mountain Lodge to late game, which was not a thing ever done in 2018 ever, by anyone, for any reason. That being said, I felt like it was justifiable to add it into the run. Even more justifiable than the other strats that I mentioned earlier that did exist. And the reason why I feel this way... Well, first of all, it actually adds difficulty. It adds a load, it adds a cruise boost, and it adds a precise, like, bash strat, which we will see later. But the other thing is that I thought of this myself. I didn't use modern knowledge, like modern, I didn't look at a modern run and was like, oh, I'm gonna do Sand Mountain Lodge because I saw somebody do it. Because I know they do it, but, like, that wasn't the influence because I've seen it before. Literally, I wanted to add early tower glide, and I was like, alright, what spatches? Forbidden, maybe, oil skip, can't do that. Just thinking of loads of things. And I was just thinking about every spatula, and I was like, what about Sand Mountain Lodge? What if I do Bungee early, and then just skip Lodge for later? And it saves, like, 10 fucking seconds. And then when you factor, like, now that I bowled the stack and hit the check, now it's like 8.5 seconds. So it's saving me, like, 8.5 seconds. And I thought of it myself. Legitimately, I thought of it myself. Which is why I feel like it's valid. Because, again, if time froze, or, like, if we were still perma-stuck in 2018... I legitimately think that I would have eventually finally thought of this. And it's kind of funny, because you know what was done instead? People were moving either Forbidden or into late game, or they were doing Fast Nut. But this actually saves almost as much and is way easier. So this would have been huge back in the day. But yeah, no, I legitimately thought of it myself. But again, early tower glide, I saved like 7 or something, and I don't think I fucked up later, so that saved me like 8.5. So, that's a lot of time, but again, it'd still be a 58, and I added difficulty. So the way the Sand Mountain used to work, after grabbing the Sandman sock, you would just go straight to Sand Mountain, you'd just go straight to Guppy, and then after Guppy, you'd walk out of Guppy, go under the bus stop to get the sock, and then go to the bus stop, switch to Sandy, do a little bit of maneuvering, hit a button, watch a bit of a cutscene, lasso a Texas glide thing twice, hover to the spatula, and then hover over to the bungee spatula. This gets the Sandman sock, then walks over to the bungee spatula, then reloads, then walks over to Guppy, so loses a little bit of time and movement and stuff, and it adds a load later in the run. But then I skip having to walk out of Guppy, which actually saves quite a bit. And then I don't have to walk. Well, I have to walk to the bus stop later on in the run, but yeah, I don't have to do it initially. I don't have to go under the bus stop. Right, I mean, I do, but I don't have to go to the bus stop and switch to Sandy. Like, it skips that whole thing. Saves a lot. But yeah. And then Guppy, again, this is shiny galore, like, he wants the shinies. So, now you either don't do this at all, or you do it with, like, that stupid LCB thing. Here, we're doing it because we need shinies. And because you get 3 socks, and they lose, like, nothing, so, you know. As you can see, just grabbing a bunch of shinies, and just making my way down. As you can see here as well, like, look, I'm managing my health. And I'm hitting all these robots, even though it loses frames. You know, really just trying to get as many shinies as I can. And then you gotta do this. Cool. And, yeah, after this, then, again, you just talk to Puff, and then you warp to Crabs. And now we get to do Murmler. So... Mimlet actually hasn't changed at all since 2018, like, since me coming back. I haven't done anything different. The only thing is that instead of menuing to Shady Shoals, I menued to Krusty Krab, which is a teeny tiny bit harder. But yeah, as you can see, ideally, you'd get a 1-frame damage boost off of this, but I didn't get it. And you touch this just to get some shinies, even though it loses some frames. And then, you just grab this, and then again, you try to bowl into the trigger, but it's, like, genuinely hard. So, as you can see, I started doing it, and I actually, dude, was that frame perfect? I don't know how text boxes work in this game. In movie, you can cancel text boxes a frame before they show up, but I don't know how that works in battle. So, either I did a frame perfectly, or I did it a frame later, and I don't know which one. Either way, that's pretty sick. But yeah, and then you do, like, this is pretty easy, just do a bowl thing here. Also, if you were to do this, you could do, like, a pseudo needleless, by the way, where you just replace kids with Goo Cage Clip. It doesn't save a lot, it's like 10, 12, 15 seconds, something like that. It skips a sock, but, like, Computer Room Sock, which I skipped just then. It's, like, one of the best ones you can get in a route like that, I just want to point that out. Anyway, here's something you don't see in battle runs anymore, unless you're doing Murmler mid-game. However, even this is done a bit differently compared to back then. But yeah, it's pretty easy. The only thing that can go wrong here is getting bad RNG with the rocks, but, you know, all that happened was I got hit and lost some frames. But as you can see, pay for the clam, 983 left. I have about an average amount. I'm feeling good. And then we have Spinning Towers of Power. You just slam this. It's pretty easy to slide off of the buttons on accident, but yeah, no, it is pretty easy. And then you do slide skip thing, slide storage, but it's pretty easy. And then you save this for later. I think there are some modern routes that do Murmler mid-game, but now we ain't doing that shit. And again, we're doing this all in mid-game instead of late game. Now, here's something that actually went wrong. Here's, like, the first, like, actual big... I say big, but, like, here's the first, like, proper notable mistake in the run. Yep. I didn't lose as much as it looks, because the backup, if you lose too much time, is to wait for this thing. Initially, this thing would be moving to the left around this spot. Like, you see... me standing here. Normally, it comes to the left, and then you bash here. If you fuck it up enough, it's a lot safer to just wait for it to come back, and I was just not risking it. So I didn't actually lose, like, that much, especially because, this guy cooperated, and I got to bowl this pretty quickly. So what happened? Well, basically, here's what happened, right? I thought I died here. I thought SpongeBob was about to fall into the void. Genuinely, I thought that. Because he started falling a little bit, and I genuinely thought I had to reload. But then I reacted poorly. And also here's the annoying thing, right? You don't do full, proper, dynamic jump spacing here. You have to do purposely unoptimal, weird jump spacing, and it's precise at that. To, like, get the jump out of here, it's so hard to do. Like... well, it's not hard to do, it's very easy to choke. That button is evil and mega precise. I also want to point that out. And then you don't really do anything for the rest of this. I mean, this part, turning around could be a tiny bit tricky, but, like, nothing, like, actually, you know. And then you go up to Krusty Krab. Yeah, I didn't really... I mean, I got, like, okay RNG. But yeah, here's why it saves time, is because it saves a load. That's basically the reason. Because it actually has slower movement. But yeah, I enter... Look at my best split times. I'm minus a second and a half. I am playing 24 seconds off the sum of best. With, again, and at this point, the only golds I have that are, like, from 2018... I have Security Tunnel, but I kept it because I knew I could beat it by, like, half a second or something. But I never did. And the Krusty Krab split is a Splice one, so I've never actually matched or beat it myself. But I knew I could if I got good RNG. Not perfect RNG, but just, like, good RNG. And I knew that would just be statistically inevitable if I kept... You know, if I had to keep playing this for a long time. So I literally just, you know... But yeah, Robopat's a little hard. I'm just practicing one frames here. Ideally, I mean, it's not a huge thing, but what you do here ideally is bowl him, like, ASAP. So I bowled in preparation because I knew roughly when he was gonna stop. And yeah, it's just that for the next, like, few hits. That was a bit slow. That was good. And then you're Sandy. And then one safety strat we just chill here and wait for him to stop spinning. Now, this is actually hard. But you know, it's some luck and stuff. It's also hard to, like, because Patrick's arms and his ice cream can hit you, and then you lose loads of time, so you need to be really careful here. So that's why I did it slowly. And then here you want to purposely get hit. It's faster than having him do his entire attack. And here I'm doing this, like, lasso stalling strat. It spawns boxes more often, and it just prevents me from getting hit. That was decent. And then I get hit again on purpose. And then, yeah, it's just this again. Again, you roughly know when he's going to stop moving. But Phase 1 and 2 are kind of nothing compared to Phase 3. Phase 3 is fucking evil. The manips have to be better than what we did back then. It was so bad back then. It's like some pseudo RNG shit. Like, basically, at least the belief back then was that it's not luck, but it's so ridiculously inhumanly precise to get, like, perfect manips every time that it would just never happen. Most of the time, you just don't get good manips. And for context, right? My gold here was like a 121.3 or something. I beat the gold. Keep in mind, it was from 2018. In fact, not just from 2018. It was from, like... You know, it wasn't, like, at the last minute before I stopped playing in 2018. I actually got it quite early in 2018. It was a, you know, really good gold. And I was thinking of increasing the gold. I was thinking about it. And in the 58-55, I got a 119. And I was like, holy fuck. I wasn't lying when I said amazing early and mid-game, right? So, how did I do in this run? Which, again, I started this run only, like, 45 to 60 minutes or something after the other one. Well, again, I gotta do some old ass... Well, I gotta get hit here on purpose, because, again, saves time. So, here's the first manip. When Patrick's about to spin, like, you turn around. And again, you sort of try to predict when he's going to stop spinning. I roughly knew that he was going to stop, which is why I started bowling ahead of time. And then because he's on this side, I'm now going to go back and do this manip. Otherwise, I would have gone the other way, but because he was leaning on this side, I went this way and did the same exact manip. Alright, so second hit. Pretty good, and now because he's on this side, I'm going this side. Again, just same exact thing. I wasn't sure that he was going to stop here, so I delayed my ball shot. But as you can see, I got a 122, which is really, really fucking good. It is really good. And at this point, the run is phenomenal. I mean, like what was the worst stuff that happened in this run, right? A mid-tree dome a bad bikini bottom, but by that, it basically just means a ledge grab. Well, that cost me like a second and a half. Like, and actually, like, genuinely pretty bad security tunnel, where I have, like, 5 seconds of realistic time save there or something, individually. But when it's sandwiched in between everything else, God, there is no fucking realistic time save out of Roapad, dude. There's just no way. Again, my skill level was increasing, but, like, I feel like I could not do this shit again. Not anytime soon. I think it would take, like, at least a week to get a run like this again, and probably just die to rock bottom as well. And yeah, no, this run is, like, so good, man. And you know what's funny? Those manips I got was basically the exact same manips as in the 58-55. Again, I said inhumanly precise, but I got, like, pretty much identical manips. I just reacted to them worse. So now I'm going to give you a little more, context, right? So I've done, like, late game RTA practice runs, and my 5908, it's late game, I forget exactly, but I think it was like 2117 or something. And my sum of best for late game is like 1958 or something, or 57, something like that. So I think it was something like that anyway. Oh, no, it wasn't. I think it was 18. I don't know. Anyway, it was like 2117 or some shit. And in the 5905, remember that run I mentioned earlier? That run got the best late game I ever had in a run, which was a 2047. A 2047 late game. So I'm gonna make a note of that. So the best ever late game I ever got was a 2047. Look at the pace splits I'm running against right now. This is for 4x pace. If I want to break even with 4x pace, because of the 5 to 6 seconds of easy time save that I had, I was thinking like, oh, maybe I should, if I can just get like a 5-6 second PB, then that would be enough for me to like get a 58 that's like like good enough, you know what I mean? So that's why I made 58 4x pace, just in case. To match it, I would need to get a 2136 late game. So worse than my 5908 and quite a lot worse than my 5905s, the 2047. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. And it does say I'm plus 0.7 off the best split times, but that's off the 58, 55. And at this point, I was kind of nervous. You do a quick thingy here, it's not hard. Anyway, you can do a puff boost, but I ain't doing that shit. Alright, now, like I said, I don't do a cruise boost here that I used to do. The cruise, so you would stand here, get rid of it, like, cruise bubble the button, and then you do another cruise boost. I don't do that. So I got a second try cruise boost the first one, so already, you know, if I remember correctly, wasn't this one slow? I think this one was slow. If you grab this in the wrong way, SpongeBob won't spin in circles, and he can actually fuck you over pretty bad, potentially. Yeah, no, this is a slightly slow cruise boost, so I was like kind of shitting myself. That it's easy for the Chuck to snipe you, or you get a ledge grab here or whatever, but it went well. Ideally, I didn't walk far enough. You want it to say press the R trigger at the end of the music. You want it to say that while you're touching the spatula a little bit faster. So I got a 122, which is like fine. Can't really complain about that, but yeah, the cruise boost was a little slow. And now museum is kind of hard. I need at worst a second try cruise boost here. And if I do, then I gotta adapt the cycle, the tire cycle. So let's see what I got. First try. So if that happens, then you like delay your jumps out of the lasers and stuff. If I had a second try cruise boost, then I would just like fucking immediately go for the ledge grab. But I didn't do that. Like I said earlier, I did an RCB that I don't do anymore. This is the RCB. You lined up really good for it, but I dropped it. I kept fucking it up. And then this part, you just bash here. A little hard, but it's, like, fine. So, yeah, looking pretty good so far. And then we're finishing up. Oh, yeah, dude, I forgot that happened. I've never done this before. We're gonna need a replay on that. Yeah. I accidentally pressed X, trying to quickly split. And press A, I fat-fingered. So that's pretty funny that I did that. But yeah, then now you hit this. They do this to this day, I think. Oh, this cruise boost was slow. Oh my god, I forgot about this. I really felt like, oh my god, I'm actually panicking. Look at my best possible time. I have so much leniency. I don't know if I would have been fine with a 4x looking back at it, but let's say like a 3x. Let's say like 58.39. Like, look how much leniency I have for that, dude. And I'm already done with Museum, and I still, like, that's the way I think about it, right? You know, compare it to my best ever late game. Like, that played, like... Well, even the 59.08, actually. Like, compared to that one's late game was like 21.17 or something. Like... That run played quite... Because at the time when I got it, it was really good except for the bad late game. Like, I had so much leniency, and a good way to, like, have a good mentality in this game is to think, this is my best possible time, which means I have this much leniency to the end of the run, and I'm already at X segment. That has helped me a lot. But yeah, so one thing you do ideally to save frames is that you just double jump spin to the thingy, but I had to actually jump to this little part by here so that I wouldn't fucking ledge grab or just straight up just miss it in full. Here's a cruise boost. If you get a second try, it kind of like breaks even when not doing it, so I just go for it, you know. Now here's something kind of hard. Sleepy skip. So this is a little hard. You want to like stand not too far in, but not too far away. SpongeBob has a bunch of damage animations, and one of them is like a bad animation, where like it gives you like less frames to bash out of like a slide animation thing, basically. But I don't know if I got that or not, because I don't know which one it is. But yeah, luckily, and it is possible to get to touch this and still just not get the jump out of it, but I actually got it. When I got that, I remember pretty vividly, I was like, oh my god, I almost missed that, you know? And then this is hard, because you're cruise boosting off of what looks like nothing, but it is a basic cruise boost. You just gotta not overthink it. It's an invisible flaw, but it is a basic cruise boost. So, but it is important to get it quickly. If I got a third try cruise boost, I would have been in big danger of missing the trench cycle here. This is something that runners today do not need to worry about because they see CA artwork, but we gotta worry about it here. So here's another strat that I dropped from 2018. You can, like, get a jump off of this thing, but I dropped it because it only saves, like, half a second, and I did do it, but only if I was at great risk of missing the cycle and I needed every little advantage I could get, but otherwise, like, in an instance like this, I didn't need to worry about it. But yeah, if you did it fast, then you can get... Otherwise, you have to wait for the cycle, and it loses quite a lot, and it's just, like, I've lost so many, like, decent attempts there, you know? But yeah, we're done with rock bottom. So far, that rock bottom had some mistakes. Had a couple slow cruise boosts. Had a couple unnecessary ledge grabs. Actually, I think I only had one, and I fucked up the menuing a little bit. But yeah, like, looking good so far. I need to make a note to myself to talk about the menuing. I forgot to mention the menuing in the differences between battle and movie section. Menuing's different here. So yeah, here's Mimlet. I actually upgraded my strats since 2018. I do it faster now, although this clip took a while. But yeah, now I climb up it. I can't see properly, but I'm, like, climbing up it in a specific way to do it as fast as possible. This is, like, a standard fast prawn. It's just, like, fucked up clipping out. And then ballroom clip. I think I got it, like, 4th try or some shit. Oh my god, dude. Okay. That was 6 tries. Alright, so the way that this works, you squeeze in, and then you do cruise boost inputs and flick the stick, like, down right on the same frame. It's, like, hard. It's easy in the sense that you have, like, so many attempts to do it, but yeah. This was my, like, Bikini Bottom was bad, and so was, like, Security Tunnel, but this was, like, the first split of the run where it was, like, genuinely, like, very easy to save time here. Not even, like, oh, sandwiched in between other stuff, like, even then, I still, if we're just starting, like, a late-game RTA run, I would expect, like, I wouldn't, you know, I could expect, like, a 428 to a 430 rock bottom, honestly. And then I would expect a better Mimler 2 and Sand Mountain 2 than this. Also, one thing that Battle does that movie doesn't is, like, splitting culture, I guess is what I call it. In Battle, the runners have, like, 4 quintillion splits. Especially back in the day for, like, certain things. You remember how Downtown was 8 minutes long? Yeah, they did not like any of the splits being long. They'd literally have, like, they'd have, like, a split for, like, grabbing the pineapple spatula and then going to Downtown. They'd have a split for, like, just doing the first part of Tiki's Go Boom. They'd have a second split for entering Sea Needle. I mean, wait, hold on. 1 split for entering, 1 split for Tiki's Go Boom, 1 split for entering Sea Needle, so that's 3 splits. And then they'd have Sea Needle, so that's 4. Then they'd have the movement to entering rooftops, so that's 5 splits. And then they would have rooftops, which is 6, and then, I mean, Lighthouse, I mean, like, holy fuck, bro. And then some people would also have a split before entering fucking Gulaguna, even though all you do is do fucking Squid's house. Oh my god. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? But yeah, pretty much just, yeah. I kind of got lost in thought. I'm also pretty tired. I got 4.5 hours of sleep, and I woke up early. And it's warm in this room. And I talked for way longer than I thought I was going to before I started analyzing this run. So, yeah, I forgot what I was saying, but yeah, like, this late game so far is okay, but, you know. Anyway, this is the end of the Sand Mountain Lodge route. So I zoom the camera in, this is important. And then I get a Krubu, and then I bash here, and then I pan the camera down. This is all important. So, the physics in this game are weird, and if you, like, reduce lag, essentially, you can get higher bashes or whatever, I think. Or it might be generating more, I can't remember. But basically, zooming in can help with, like, making the bash easier, and panning the camera down makes the bash easier. So I literally just did them together, and because I tried it, and that's I get it most consistent doing both. So that's what I do. And I got it. And then I just grab the sock and I'm done. I actually got the full, in this segment in particular, I got the full time save, but obviously in Sand Mountain 1 I fucked it up a little bit. So at this point, like, the run, obviously, overall is still really good. It's just that, you know, there were a couple bad splits, but that was the first split that was, like, fucking smelled terrible, you know? Anyway, yeah, fucked up a Krubu, but not too bad. And some shit happens here. I get to bitch about this now. I fucking despise this movement, and I miss it, like, half the time, and it loses, like, 8 seconds to miss, and it is so fucking incredibly painful. Right? It is so bad. It is so bad that I've unironically considered immediately going for the backup, because then instead of losing, like, 8 or 9 seconds, I instead lose, like, 4 seconds. I've genuinely considered it. But why am I even doing this in the first place? Well, the reason why, well, you'll see the backup now. This is the backup. It's for this. The shiny route after Sandy Nut got so fucked that we need to grab this again, which is why I moved the sock to later. If you were already gonna touch roughly the center of it anyway, no reason not to, like, move the sock later as well. Because then, instead of being like a 0.5 to 1 second sock, is now a 0 second sock. So already, you're technically saving time, but then you lose that time from having to slam the tikis earlier. Okay, so now we're about breaking even, maybe losing a tiny bit even. And then you lose a little more for going this path in the first place. However, this path only loses a little bit of time. Basically, this is like a 1 to 1.5 second stack, and it gives you hundreds of shinies. At least it gives you like 500 shinies. You have to do it with this route. There's no other way around it. Which is why Mow early doesn't work unless you do like that weird damage boost strat. But yeah, like... there isn't much else to say. Well, we go back to this. So the way that this works, you want to do two really good jumps, and then you want to slam, like, before you begin descending so that you can actually bounce off that. There's a tiny bit of leniency, but I fucked it up. I genuinely miss it, like, half the time. It seriously pisses me the fuck off. Because I need to do it. But yeah, now my shinies are about average, again. I mean, they were. I mean, like, you need to do it. Also, one thing, if my shinies are bad, then one stack I grab if I'm desperate. There's, shinies on the bridge. There's a trigger there, but you can avoid the trigger. So it's like an extra, like, 3 seconds or whatever, but it does give you a couple hundred extra. So if you're desperate, you can grab that. It's just in case you, like, accidentally skip a stack or whatever, you know? Anyway, as you can see now I'm comparing against PB. Because I have 42 seconds here. Granted, I already lost like fucking 9-10 seconds, but still. So I got a second try cruise boost. So now I'm like, uh-oh. And I got the good RNG. The problem with getting good RNG, it's a 50-50. The problem with getting good RNG while missing a cruise boost is that now there really is like no fucking leniency. You just gotta do this shit like fucking fast. There is a safety strat you can do here where you grab the sock later. If you lost a lot of time. Well, I say a lot, like 3-4 seconds. But, Anyway, I was actually faster than I thought I was. So I actually missed this kid, and I was kind of panicking. So I had to, like... And then, the backup is to stand on there, but I fucked it up. But luckily, then, I actually fucking bashed him this time. That whole thing could have been an absolute disaster, and I did lose quite a chunk of time there. But, you know, nothing too drastic or anything, and then this is just like a free spatula. Don't need to worry about this. So that gold is fake, by the way. However, after losing 42 off the gold in the 58-55, I literally did 2 attempts of that Goo Lagoon segment, and on the second attempt, I got bad RNG, and I fucked up the menuing a little bit, and I got a 205.09. So, I could even get a 203, like a mid 203 or something. So, the gold is not, like, unbeatable or anything. If anything, it's literally just getting everything first try, even with bad RNG. Like, about what you would expect for an average gold, you know what I mean? With bad RNG as well. And... yeah, anyway, I lost 12 seconds. So the Tiki thing lost me like 8 or something, and then the kids lost me like 4. Anyway, I can't believe this happened. This will give the impression that my run is bad. This segment will. So, the second easiest split in late game is Jellyfish Fields 2. The easiest is Kelp, and Kelp is right after this. So, all you do in JF2 is a standard cruise boost, a trick that's a little scary but is easy, and then a hard cruise boost, and that's basically it. And then in Kelp, you do a cruise boost, and then a really easy trick. And then that's basically all you do for 6 minutes even. Yeah, like 6 minutes. And, yeah, have a look at what happens. I had a fucking slow cruise boost. Since coming back to this game, I have never seen that before. I have gotten a lot better at getting first or second try cruise boosts, especially with ones with good speed. Is it just me, or was there, like, nothing wrong with this angle? I don't see what the problem was with this angle. I genuinely do not see what the issue was. And if anything, it felt a little slow, but I still felt like I could make it. I should have spin stalled. Spin stalling is when you spin just before going off a ledge and it gives you extra coyote frames. I think I would have made it. It did exist at the time, but at the time it was only being used for, like, museum, I think. But I didn't like it for museum, so I didn't do it. I should have done it here, but I think in my mind, because I didn't do it in 2018, I was thinking, for a brief second, I was like, oh yeah, it didn't exist in 2018, I can't do it, so I just gotta go for it. Fucking hate myself for that, man. And this loses a lot. So I had to get a fucking cruise boost here. And I think this one was... Yeah, this one's, like, standard. But dude, the damage is already done. And then this right here is easy street, but still, like, I fucking... Look at the best possible time, dude. It was very unlikely, but it was actually possible to get 57. And we will go over that later, the idea of 57. Not realistically possible... But hell, I mean, you know, the option could have been there, but nope. I got absolutely fucking fucked. And this is what I was talking about, by the way, rock skip. Again, it looks scary, but it's really not hard. And then that also is not hard, even though it looks scary. And now it's not fucking over yet. This happened. Did you fucking see that? Did you see that? That was, like, one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen in my entire speedrunning career. I didn't used to do... You know what's ironic as well? You know when I said about, like, tricks adding... I can justify adding tricks because they add difficulty, most of them? This is one of them. The crabs boost, because it actually saves quite a lot. Especially if you get the cruise cancel. I lost quite a bit of time because I went for it. Otherwise, I'd be more used to the cruise boost backup that I did, and I probably wouldn't have fucked it up as much. So if anything, this time would actually be faster if I didn't go for that strat. I reckon it'd be like 58-15 or something. But yeah. I don't even know what I did wrong. I felt like that was a good crew boo, but I guess not. Alright, let's see how many tries it took me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lamau. Well, additional tries is what... Yeah, so it took me 9 cruise boosts on top of missing... Yeah, so it took me like 10 cruise boosts. And then the rest of this is just movement. We don't really need to, you know, but... Fucking hell, dude. I'm just gonna spoil a little bit. I lost, like, roughly 15 here as well. So, combined, I lost, like, 29, like, 28 to 29 seconds in the second easiest split in late game. It's one of the easiest splits in the literal entire run. Like, JF is harder. All of the downtown splits are harder. Even, like, downtown streets is harder because of the quick slamming and shit. Fucking... Rooftops is harder, Lighthouse is harder. But although, even if we're judging it as just levels, yeah, Goo Lagoon is way harder. Poseidon, yeah, because of how long it is and, like, all the, you know, micro-optimizations, yeah, I'd say Poseidon is kind of, when it comes to, you know, oh, just don't lose a bunch of time, then yeah, sure, I guess Poseidon's easier, because that's, like, one segment. And then Bikini Bottom... You know, again, if it was just a thing of not having it be disastrous, then I guess Bikini Bottom's a little easier. Same with, like, Krusty Krab. And like, that's it. So it's like, it's like 3 fucking splits. And then Kelp. So there's 4 like, splits in a run that are easier than this. And in late game, with, to be honest, this is almost like a sort of half-chill section. Like, honestly, the easiest part of battle runs, without factoring, like, the nerves and stuff, might honestly be late game, if we're talking about 2018 runs. It's possible. Yeah, you gotta do museum and stuff, but, like, you have to do hammer skip and shit. It's just so you do it less and you're nervous, I feel like. But But I feel like late game might be the easiest part of the run, it's hard to say. Because Dutchman actually is hard, but yeah. And also I added another thing I just remembered. I always used to slam here, but now I do the spin, because it's just literally just good jump spacing. But yeah, nothing crazy here, just fucking movement. But now, here's the third and final strat that isn't any harder. In fact, it's easier. That it's not... Well, it's debatable. The way that I'm doing it, I'd argue it's easier, and again, it saves like 2 seconds. So normally, you jump to the left, and you do some wall jumps, and you like grab the spatula, you spin around in circles, and then you leave the area. Here I do this. My dog is barking outside, but yeah, you can see this. So this is pretty easy. Again, this was already done, but I figured out a good ledge grab strat that's, like, really good. If you ledge grab this, and then as soon as you ledge grab, hold right on the C stick for the entire duration. Literally hold it for literally the entire duration until you touch the spatula, and you will almost always get put right into the trigger. I didn't this time. I was barely off of it, but yeah. Hold on, I'll be right back. My throat hurts. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully I can do this for the rest of this. So yeah, this is very easy. This part, you literally just hit him 3 times, and then when you're done, you go down the slide. You bowl down the slide, and then hope that you hit. You see these 2 Thunder Tikis and the Stone Tiki. You wanted the bowl to hit that. I didn't hit it, but it's not a big deal. Because, right, obviously I'm still trying to get shinies. There is a 50 shiny object in Squid's Dream that you're pretty much guaranteed to pick up. So you want 2950 entering Squid's Dream, basically, and then you'll just guaranteed have enough. And you get, like, 6 from Kelp as well. So yeah, I have... He's up to the beginning. Yeah, so 2950. 2950, yeah. But again, so all Kelp really is... Because this is just the easiest segment in the game, even. You get a cruise boost, which I fucked up because I'm bad, and then you do, like, this strat where you, like... It's a little hard to describe. You, like... You hold back on your speed so that you can, like... And then turn the camera so you can bounce again on the leaf. Hard to learn as a beginner, but it gets really easy as you just get better at the game. And now, we got this. So you just start the challenge, and then you jump forward and then jump back. It's actually pretty easy. You can do some cruise boosting stuff here, but it only saves a couple seconds, so I don't do it. Anyway, would never need it, you know? And it's kind of risky. I'd rather just make the late game, like, you know, way easier for only losing, like, 2 seconds. And then the rest of it is just free as fuck. I don't even know if there's any point in showing the shit. All you gotta worry about now is, like, micromanaging. Or micro-optimizations, rather. Like, you really don't gotta worry about this. Now the actual thing is warping the dream. The menuing to, like, warping the dream is actually kind of hard, low-key. I guess now I should bring a menuing compared to movie, because I never did that. Battle's menuing is quite a bit different, and is honestly a lot harder. Because in movie, there are less levels and less warp locations. Every main proper level has 6 tokens instead of 8. And in addition to that, the sliding and driving levels take up a lot of stuff. You never have a reason to warp to any task on the sliding and driving levels that isn't the first task. So, and same goes for bosses. So yeah, other than, like, these big levels, you're only gonna warp to the first task of every level. And even then, again, because of 6 instead, and because, like, combats are always placed at the very end, so it's, like, easy to navigate to, or in most categories, you won't even warp to it, you know, things like that. It's just, like, it's pretty easy to remember stuff for the most part, with some exceptions. But, like, for example, like... You know, like... Also, the other thing as well is that when you movie's menu takes like 0.8 seconds to fully open or something like that until it starts registering inputs. Battles is instant. It's like one frame it's not there, the next frame it is there, and it's active. Battles menu is extremely sensitive, and you need to react quickly. With movie, the thing is that like you have a kind of large window of time, like over half a second, to even just think about where you're just about to warp to. And the menu is not as sensitive. It doesn't pick up inputs as easily and shit. Like, it's, you know, again, I mean, that's pretty much the extent of it, really. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's surprisingly difficult. Whereas in battle, like, menuing in battle is especially hard if you can't do it immediately after grabbing a spatula. If you gotta, like, pick up something like a sock and then menu, is even harder. Especially if you're unsure if that sock, for example, like, is even coming towards you. Anyway, Squid's Dream. That angle looked a bit weird, but, you know, making it work. Squid's Dream is quite easy, to be honest. I like Squid's Dream as one of my favorite spatulas, but it's not very hard. So, what I do, if you're good at the game, you'll go too fast, so you need to, like, stall if that happens. If you got a first try cruise boost. So, I got a first try. So now what I do, my strat, I spin and then stay on that note for a while, and then I spin to this note, and then I play like as fast as I want afterwards. And then you want to do like and then you want to grab the sock. It's a little tricky, but not that bad. And then you bounce back on the trampoline, and you can make it over. If you want to be safe, you can do a slam to make it to the note. And then that's the 50 shinies I was talking about. There isn't too much to say here, genuinely. It's really not hard. In my opinion, grabbing the sock is easier than going, like, the other way, which I think is, like, the same cycle. We don't grab the sock. I genuinely think getting the sock is easier. It's, like, effectively a 0 seconds. Again, it's really not, like... It's easy to show, kind of, but the fact that you can even miss one cruise boost and still be completely fine. Because if you miss a cruise boost, then you just don't do the stalling that I did. You know, that's the only difference. And if you do miss too many, you can quickly reload, because Squid's Dream is one of the fastest areas for loading in the game. So you don't even lose that much. For missing, like, the second cruise boost and then, like, reloading, you only lose, like, 6 seconds. It really isn't bad. Anyway, now you talk to crabs, and now you don't need shinies anymore. You might be wondering, like, couldn't you do Dutchman and then Dream? But that'd be bad for menuing, and you hardly get any shinies in Dutchman anyway. But yeah, technically that would be something you could do, I think. Because you just go from, kelp to, actually, that'd be pretty bad. Okay, you'd go from kelp to crabs. Or, I mean, wait, no, how would that work, actually? Oh, no, I'm talking out of my ass. I was thinking of an old route where you talk to crabs after Dutchman. No, never mind, I just lied. Ignore that. Anyway, you get a cruise boost off of this, and cruise boosting off the Krusty Krab is actually kind of hard. Like, there's like little ridges and stuff. It's actually kind of hard to do. I missed one, but I made it. And now this is one of the hardest cruise boosts in the run. This fucking stupid-ass pole. This is evil. Just this entire bit is evil. You can even see that I just, like, you already know, just from the way that I slowed down compared to other areas where I, like, nearly never do that. You can already tell that I've lost run after run after run after run after run here, 2018 and now. But yeah, I got a first try, and then I was able to do that. This is the hard part. If you don't have good jump spacing, and if you don't get a first try, like, you are in great risk of just missing this and dying. If you go too slow, then this is too far back, and you can't stay on the platform because then the truck will fucking hit you. It's so, and even then you need good jump spacing after it. And then you want to get this stupid strat, which I fucked up in my 58-55. You need a specific camera angle for this and to be nudged into this rock in a specific way, and then you spin, and there's a small window where you can like get a cruise bubble. It's to skip a cruise boost, having to do another cruise boost, but it is weirdly precise. And this is the first big cutscene I was talking about, by the way, in Dutchman. Thank God as well, because this level is actually kind of hard. But yeah, then you grab this. And now you do this. It saves a couple seconds. I haven't fucked it up in a while, so yeah, it looks cool too. And I have to this fucking fucker almost always hits the path that you're going on, so you gotta be really careful. Otherwise, I would have to have walked behind the pillars and got another cruise boost. Could have lost quite a bit. Or if I got hit off entirely. If you get fucked here at all, then your best bet, I think, is warping to the, like, third spatula, I think, and that's pretty slow. Basically, at this point, I don't think it would have killed the run, but it wouldn't have been very, very alive anymore. But yeah, my gold here isn't great, so I actually got very close to it. And I didn't... I think this is the final thing that I didn't do in 2018. This saves, like, a second and a half or something, so just go for it. You can miss it twice and only lose, like, a little bit, I think. So it's not a big deal if you miss it. And then here's a cruise cancel. Or rather, no, this isn't a cruise cancel. This is a manual cruise boost. This is when, instead of SpongeBob firing a cruise bubble at the wall, you have to detonate the cruise bubble yourself. Because it didn't hit anything. And that makes cruise boosting like 500,000 times harder for no reason. As you can see there, kind of panicked a bit. The thing is, look at my best possible time. It's 58:18. It's very unlikely at this point that I don't do it, but I've been here so many times now that I'm just like, bruh. Still got that choke in me. So as you can see, I just fucked up. And then with this, the reason why I delayed it is because I was kind of like, oh, is my angle even, like, going to be good enough? But then I just went for it, and yeah, my speed was, like, fine, I think. Dude, this literally looks like slow motion, holy shit. 1 speed cruise boost. But yeah, so here's the thing I do. There is, like, a boat bash thing you can do, but I never did it. But here's the thing I do. This is called wall jump skip. I always purposely ledge grab here because it makes the trick, like, way easier. Because watch now. Like, look how much easier that makes it compared to, like... And also, if your cruise boost is slightly slow, or if you just don't have good jump spacing, you won't make it anyway. And I was so sick of losing runs there in 2018, so I just dropped it for the ledge grab strat, so, yeah. And then... Dude, why does it look so fucking slow? Holy shit. It's just... Yeah, it's normal speed. Dude, I put on 1.25. This feels like 100% speed. What the fuck? What video game was I playing? Or anyway, this can be a little hard, but again, I got so used to, like, cruise boosting at this point, like, after weeks of grinding. I've, like, learned here to, like, quickly turn and just go for it, rather than taking 10 hours to set it up. Get, like, the same results. But yeah, you gotta, like, manipulate the chuck, which I did. It's pretty easy. And then, it's easy to choke this, but it's also, like, not hard. It's easy to accidentally miss these buttons and being a little extra careful. And then you slam this. Now, here's one thing. You want to get put into this chest, next to this chest, but I fucked it up a little bit. So I lost like a second, maybe a bit less. And ideally as well, get a quick slam. And this is the second big cutscene of Dutchman. And at this point, I see the best possible time. I see that, like, I can probably, like, roughly, you know, play, like, close to the gold. Like, it is, like... almost guaranteed to happen, because at this point, the only things that could even theoretically go wrong at this point, Dutchman skip, in a way where it's, like, just really severe, like, falling all the way down, missing the trigger, missing coin flip and Robo Sponge a bunch of times, or getting a such a bad angle from Robo Sponge damage boost that I just fucking have to reload the area. And even that, as if I reacted to it quickly, would still be fine. So, I was... practically but I was still fucking worried, of course. I mean, of course I'm going to be. He has pretty basic shit, and he whooped the Dutchman, and he switched the Bob. I slowed myself down a bit. And then I saw that, and I was like, damn. Sometimes you just know you got good speed, and I knew that was like 5 speed just then. Also, if you slam close enough to the ground, you're gonna pop up like that, so it saves a bit. So I went for it, and I actually got it here too. So I got 2 pops, 2 bounces. Lost some frames on that spatula grab, but yeah, looking good. And then I actually golded this. That gold was actually from 2018, and I actually beat it. Oh, the wall jump skip one is also a 2018 gold, by the way, but because I now do squid boost, I can beat it. I never did beat it, unfortunately. But, yeah. And now just trading 2 socks with Patrick, warping to Buck. Now, when you start, you want to turn around so you can, like, hit him a couple seconds faster. The rest of this run is really easy. Fast Brain did exist, but I didn't do it. I've never learned it, even. So all it is now is this coin flip strat, and I can miss it. I can miss this, like, 5 times or 6 times, like, and still get a 50. Like, yeah, it's like 5 times, 4 times. I pretty much guaranteed have her in the bag at this point, but I do vividly remember when this happened. I remember saying out loud, "Oh shit!" I actually, my heart wasn't racing very fast. I was doing pretty alright. But then, like, I got the good RNG, and then when I made it here, slightly bad angle, but it was, like, fine. I was like, dude. Like, it was at this point where I was like, dude, I fucking did it. Like, there's pretty much nothing that can go wrong right now. Unless I'm gonna get a 1 in 10,000 and, like, accidentally detonate the cruise bubble early or some shit like that. And even then, still be a very comfortable 58. Like, there's pretty much nothing that can go wrong here. Well, it is possible. If you, like, spin on this trampoline, it's possible, because it's scripted. It's possible for it to launch you away from this trampoline and kill you. That actually did happen to me. Before, in 2018... I was on my best possible time into this area was like 59:06 or something, and that happened, and I was so pissed off. But yeah, and it was at this point where I was just like, oh my god, dude. And like a minute in after this, I did do a speech, but we're not gonna listen back to the speech because it was just saying like, oh my god, I never have to play this again. Like this, you know, the run was so good up to a certain point, like that type of thing. That's why there's so much of me talking. I talked for like 15 minutes. So yeah, that's the run. There was one thing I forgot to mention, though. With this, you can skip it faster, but you will almost always suffer the spatula animation if you do that. This is the risky strat I was talking about in Chumbuck earlier, so don't want to risk that. So when the hands go down is when we skip. And yeah, that's the run. So were you keeping track of 2047 being my best one? My best late game? I was on pace before in the late game RTA for like a 1x or a 2x, like 21x or something in Dutchman, but I never got it. My late game in this was a 21:07, which is 10 seconds faster than the 59:08 and about 10 seconds slower than 20 seconds slower compared to the 59:05. And why was that? Well, pretty much JF2. Even an okay JF2 would have saved like 24 seconds there or something. So, yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping I didn't forget anything when talking about the run. So, I mean, yeah, you saw it though. Like, really good early game, really good mid game. Not very good of a late game, but still was fine, you know, like... One thing I like to do in my splits is go over them and just be like, you know, good, bad, like... Although I can't really get a good yeah, so JF was good, Downtown was good, Gulagoon was really good, Poseidon was pretty good, Bikini Bottom was bad, but, you know, it's Bikini Bottom. Dream was really good, Sun Mountain was good, Mimile was really good. Actually, no, it wasn't. No, Mimile was, like, okay-ish. Krusty Krab was whatever, it was, like, fine. Robopat was insane, Rock Bottom was good-ish. Merman Sun Mountain 2 was pretty bad, Gulagoon 2 and Downtown 2 was quite bad. JF2 was absolutely horrendous. And Kelp was also, even Kelp was below average. I usually get like high 239s or low 240s. I got 241. Squid's Dream was really good. Goo Tanker was really good. Graveyard was average. Shipwreck was really good. Chumbuck was really good. So basically, like, the bad part of the run is just one concentrated area, pretty much. It's basically just from Mimile 2 to, when I finally, well, to Kelp. But Kelp is a little petty, because off of a good Kelp, it was only like a couple seconds. So if we're gonna not be petty, then basically, like, Mimile 2 to, the second JF Cruise Boost, which is in the span of, like, I don't know, like 6 minutes. So like the only bad part of the run was a concentrated roughly 6 minutes. And again, like that JF2 was so fucking embarrassingly atrocious, and I'll beat it like, if I did come back to the game, I'd beat it like every single time practically, but with an industrial park exit of a 3713, like really, dude, like I would have to, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but if I should try and beat this, I'd probably have to like force, like, if I miss oil skip it, just instantly reset and shit like that. Alright, so I have notes to make after the run. So yeah, the late game overall was okay, basically. But with an amazing early and mid game, you know, having really good, alright, like, at that point, it's like, you just gotta accept that, you know what I mean? So, the first note is that I got 58 even without the new strats, because again, it saves like 25 to 28 or something, and even if you don't factor, well, one of them fucking lost me time. But even if you don't factor any of that, it's still a 58, so there's literally no debate for it whatsoever. Second thing is that this was a massive weight off my chest. Now the only current time that I don't have that I wish I did was fucking ETU. But yeah, no, like, this is such a fucking huge weight off my chest, because, like, I don't have to, like, practice battle anymore. I don't have to, like, rush movie practice a little bit to then do battle practice. I don't have to kind of dread booting up battle, like, immediately after stream, or, like, half an hour after stream. I don't have to think, like, well, I don't have to go through the game's BS ever again. I don't need to, like, again, just boot the Xbox up and be like, oh my god, I hope there's no spiders, I hope the capture card works, I hope I can actually get a run going. And I don't have to think, like, alright, I'm gonna do attempts for, like, 3 hours. If I can't get anywhere, I'm just gonna go right to bed, you know, I don't have to do that. I can now actually fucking focus on movie. I was thinking of learning a second speed game, and I just didn't even have the option with this in the way. I was thinking of learning Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because when all the DLC tracks come out, there'll be 96 track speedruns. It'd be so funny. So I'm gonna do a run of that. But mainly 48 tracks, I was thinking about it. And also Super Mario Bros. 1 to get full 59, because you don't have to do any, like, I think the only really hard thing you have to do for full 59, I think, is, like, that pixel perfect, like, jump in 8-4. I think that's it. So the rest of it's literally just, like, playing good, Lamau. Which for 5 minutes is manageable, so I was thinking about it. I was also thinking about, like, maybe getting back into Refunked, but I don't know. I think for now, I'm just not gonna think about playing a second speed game, at least for, like, a couple weeks or something, just, you know. And also, I wanted to, like, I was thinking about making videos, but I felt like I couldn't because of battle. And when I did, like, watch content, a lot of it was while I was running battle until I got to Industrial Park, and then I'd just turn it off. Fucking hell, man. It's like I'm living it again. Like, just like the thought of, like, it's over, you know? Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it when I saw it, man. So I guess the next thing I will mention is, like, the idea of a 57. I can get a 57, as shown by how abysmal that JF was, and if I even just saved 21 seconds in JF, that would be a 2046 late game, which would only be 1 second faster than my best ever. However, that'd be getting an Industrial Park exit that I genuinely feel like I can't realistically match at all. Hell, even decent runs would still be like plus 12 to 15 on it. And how am I going to make that? I could make that time back by the end of Murmler and Sand Mountain 2, but then I'm like barely minus. And kids, I mean, put it this way, right? Since coming back, I literally have had 0 Gulagoons. Literally 0 Gulagoon 2s where I didn't fuck anything up. 0. I'm not exaggerating. And it'd have to happen eventually, but still, like, think about how many times I've been there. Especially when I was derusting, just, like, trying to just get a time, you know? Fucking insane, dude. I guess I'll just stop. I guess I'll just play a random part of the run. While I'm talking... So yeah, I could get 57. I do legitimately think that I'm capable of it. However, I'm not going to, because again, I'd reset to hammer skip 1 frame. I'd reset to missing, like, anything in Dream, except maybe Forbidden if I back it up at 1 frame Forbidden, maybe. Because then I won't lose very much. Depends on the rest of the run. I'd reset to dying in Security Tunnel, missing, like, 2 tire cycles in Museum, reloading in Squid's Dream, like, twice, missing, well, doing what I did in JF2 at all. Just anything like that just causes a reset. It would be so difficult, and I'd have such little leniency that I feel like the only way that I could go for 57 would be to add more strats from 2018, which basically means, like, more RCBs, including RCB Kids Cycle, which is quite a bit faster. The Boat Bash thing in Dutchman, which saves, like, 4 seconds or something. Fast Brain, I don't even know how much that saves, maybe, like, a dozen seconds or something, saves a lot. And again, more RCBs and shit. I feel like, and maybe Needleless, but I don't think I would need that. But yeah, I would just add a bunch of, like, small time saves, and bigger ones as well. I would just add, like, a bunch of shit. And it would take, like, weeks to get used to everything. It would take weeks. And then I could finally have a bit more leniency again. But there's no point, because I was not even theoretically capable of 57 in 2018, so there's like, what's the point? And then I'd probably only be able to get it with the Sand Mountain strat and the Sand Mountain route, and that did not exist in 2018, or the other things I mentioned earlier, so then for it to feel fully authentic, I should probably drop the strats, but then 57 would just be ridiculous at that point. Basically, while I can do it, I'm only barely capable of it. If I got a 57, 59, that is like 9 out of 10 run, at least. It is insane shit. What I will say, though, actually, I have 57 pace splits, and I was actually minus 16 on them out of rock bottom. However, the way I've always made my pace splits is that I always give myself a cushion in early and mid game, and then force a good late game. Because then, even if I don't get it, then the early and mid game's cushion will help me out regardless. And it also helps me be motivated, because I might have gotten a not very good early or mid game, and I'm still, like, roughly even with the splits, and it's like, damn, like, I actually be able to still do it, you know, like, that type of thing. Like, if I played extremely good, then I could still do it. It's like a mentality thing. So yeah, I am capable of 57, with or without new strats, but I'm not gonna do it. You know, this run symbolized something for me. There's no need to keep going. But that leads me into the next thing of, like, why I even feel that way in the first place. I just want an excuse to keep playing the game. As much as I bitched about it, complained about it, I used to keep it like kind of like a tally of things that have never happened to me since coming back to the game, or things that have almost never happened. And you would get numbers after like 4 hours of a session or whatever. You would get numbers like 6 things that have never happened before, like 5 things that have happened but are really still really bullshit and haven't happened in forever, like that type of thing. Literally every session, and you think I'm exaggerating? I swear on my fucking grave, I'm not exaggerating. Swear to my fucking grave. Yeah. Hopefully I get the point across there. I mean, I'm literally swearing to my grave. But yeah, I still feel like sentimental. This was a kind of a big project, and I should have been able to do it years ago, and I had to do it before it was too late. If I do kill movie and I go to battle, I'm not playing this. I'll be on hard drive. I won't see JF2. I'll probably do like minimal late game or whatever. I'll be skipping a few spatulas, probably like kids or whatever. Like, there's no, like, yeah, there's just no reason to fucking, yeah. Essentially, what would be the point? And again, like I said earlier, I was thinking of like, oh, what if I did an all-level spatulas run for fun, but then I'd have to relearn crystals and change some of my routes to like, for some things I've added, like early tower gliders. Can't be fucking arsed. Cannot be fucked. And even then, my run, like, I didn't play that category seriously or anything. The only thing that'd be kind of cool is that when I did fix my hands, at the end of 2019, I did run Battle Hundo for a couple days, and I got like a 143 or something. Like, in theory, it'd be cool to do that. But, nah. Not gonna bother. So yeah, I will never put the battle disc in my Xbox ever again. And that's what, you know, it's like a weird, sad feeling. Like, that was the last time I'll ever do Sea Needle. Even if I did come back to the game and then did Hundo or something, you're gonna do it with a cruise boost is different still. You know, JF2, at least in this exact form, gone. Disc load's gone. Playing the game offline, nah. Like, it's just a weird feeling. It's possible that I never actually go back to battle, but I plan to go back. But imagine if I didn't, and this was literally just the last time the last speed run of Battle for Bikini Bottom I ever did in my life. I don't know if you guys get sentimental about that. It's like, oh, at this point in my life, like, this was the last time I ever did something. It's kind of like in high school or whatever, where it's like, this is the last time that I ever talked to this person or whatever, you know? It's like that type of thing. But, yeah, it's weird feeling. And I don't like it. Well, it's bittersweet. But yeah, if I come back to this game, I'm gonna go for a 49, then a 48, then a 47, then I'll see if movie's not dead anymore, and we'll go from there. Or, if my chat doesn't want to see battle, or if I don't like playing the game, because it's too different or whatever, which I will get to that too, then... Oh, I had notes for, like, my plans, and I basically just said everything on accident, even though I was supposed to say, like, some other notes first. But yeah, so I guess I'll just say the plan, kill movie, but then towards the end, you know, relearn battle, you know, grind it on the side. Then when I am done with movie, go back to battle. Maybe take a few days off just to make sure, do some, like, game out. But I'll never do an actual full run. You know, it'd be cool to do my first run on stream. And then just quickly go for 49, then go for 47, because I want to copy Sky's route, but just don't do the second crab spot. And Sky got, like, mid-46 with... And I think they missed Sleepy Skip, and they didn't do Fast Brain. They still got, like, mid-46, so I definitely feel like I could get 47. And just go from there. And if movie is not dead anymore, then I'll go back to movie. If battle keeps... If I want to keep going, or if battle has more time saves or whatever, I'll you know, get into it. However, if my chat just doesn't care for it, or if I don't care for it, then I'll probably just, like, make YouTube videos or something. I'll probably just stop making, like, movie videos and stuff like that, and make, like, actual... Because I want to make, like, big... You know those fat videos on YouTube that are, like, 500 hours long? Like, I want to make videos like that. And, yeah, either either focus on YouTube or play this until movie's not dead, or retire entirely, which I don't want to happen, but we will see. Movies had no fucking time saves for like months. It's like that. I mean, there's a reason why I'm playing extensions. You know, I'm fucking desperate if I'm streaming extensions. I've hardly ever done that. Just praying that something gets found. And then no pulse storage again. There's been like 3 or 4 seconds of time save or whatever, but that's obviously nowhere near enough. To come back to that game, I need another like 15 seconds or something to that category. I would estimate like at least like 15 more seconds. Unless it's like literally like free fucking time save, then maybe I could. If it's like 12 seconds, maybe I could come back, but even that'd be a pain in the ass. So yeah, those are all my plans. I guess the final thing then, hopefully I didn't forget anything important, is why I like this era of battle more. Having that little extra time during loads and stuff to just even have a sip of your drink is nice, but like that's not like. I do think hard drive is cooler than disc. You know, it makes it more accessible, especially to PAL players. If you have a bad disk drive, it doesn't even matter because you'd be playing on hard drive. Makes things more fair, more consistent. It may lag unviable, thank God. The hard drive part I do like, but it's just like the cancerousness of like VMS is a big part of the run, and it is annoying and toxic, and the game can literally lag and drop inputs. Like how it that's just insane. The second Crab's dupe is incredibly toxic. They have a shiny generation glitch, and yet to duplicate the spatula, you have to not have too many shinies, and then you need to actually grind for shiny. Not grind, but you need to like then actually go out of your way to get shinies. It's like the dumbest thing ever. What video game has a currency generation glitch, but then you need to not have enough, and then you need to have enough afterwards? Like even when you can't do the glitch anymore. Like what the fuck, dude? Like literally, what game has that? And also, the run is really short, so you're doing a lot of stuff right next to each other. The runners just turn into everybody doing, like, 5,000 RCBs and shit. And Guppy LCB, I think the most consistent anybody gets that shit is, like, 25% of the time or some shit. Like, that's one of those tricks where it's so ridiculously precise. Not only are the days where it just will not work to save your life, it's one of those ones that cannot actually be made consistent. As a human, you can only get it so consistent, and it'll never go beyond that consistency. You know what I mean? You have those good days, you have those bad days, but you'll never actually consistently get it 50% of the time. It just won't happen. And the UCBs as well. Hold on, I gotta pause again. And I'm back again. Yeah, so basically, like... just like a lot of toxic things, like strats and stuff that you just can't... I mean, movie has a couple of them, but it's basically just like spew boost and sandwich out of bounds. And they're not that bad. You know, whereas like there's like quite a few of them in this game. And in such in a shorter amount of time as well. And I just, you know... like, I feel like this era of battle... the 2018 era, before lag clips and stuff. I feel like this is, like, peak, because even though downtown is, like, really fucking long, I just feel like everything's, other than that, I feel like everything's paced really well. Everything is about, like, consistency and movement, and consistency is the big one. I don't like short runs, really, and I'm not saying that, like, 40-something minutes is really that short, but still, like 55 to 65 minutes is like a good range for me. And that's about the length of this. And, yeah, it's just got a lot of, like, good, cool, interesting parts. It's not, like, visually boring. Maybe comparatively, but not, like, in its own right. And I feel like, other than downtown, the pacing is genuinely good. And again, it's just more about, there aren't that many feel-based tricks. It's almost entirely, like, actually consistent, good tricks that don't make you want to die. And, yeah, I just think it's, like... just showing the game off in a positive light. I feel like at this point, like, the only way it could really be improved from this, from this time period is if, like, a hard drive was allowed. And, like, maybe CCA would be a good thing, I don't know. Basically, the only really bad part is, like, fucking downtown / Sea Needle is, like, pretty much it. I mean, Hammer Skip kind of sucks, but you can fuck it up and still, like, save a lot compared to not doing it, so, you know. But yeah, I think I'm basically done. Again, it's very sentimental. I'll never need to do this shit again. This is my last ever disc battle run ever. Or possibly last battle run ever, we'll see. And yeah, the early game was amazing, the mid game was pretty fucking good, and the late game was okay. Overall, a good run. And that's a great thing about this. This isn't like, oh, it was a bad run, but I got my goal. The run was genuinely good. I would unironically call this a good run. And that's a good part, because even back in the day, it's like, oh, you know, if I get 50, I guess it's like kind of good, but like not really. If it's like 50 or 59, you know, it's not really like back in 2018. But again, I ascended my skill level and added strats and gave myself a bigger cushion because of it. And yeah, I'm glad I added the strats because it got me such a much lower 58 than what I otherwise would. I still would have gotten it anyway, but it makes me feel like I made even more progress. Because again, otherwise it would have been the equivalent of like fucking like 58, like 45 or something, which still was it. But not by like a shit ton. It would basically be my 5908, except I didn't lose, like, I only lost like 2/3 of the amount of time in Gulagoon 2, which is still pretty bad. But yeah, I guess that's basically it. It took me like 45 minutes to actually start analyzing the run. But I had a lot to say. This run means a lot to me, even if it doesn't mean anything to anyone else. This is like something that I feel like only I would care about. And this chapter of my life, you know, you know, for nearly 5 years overdue. But it finally got there in the end, and I guess that's all that matters, right? Not how long it took, but the fact that I finally did it. And now I can just focus on movie for like a while, like probably like a couple months plus. And that feels good. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.